Welcome, everybody, once again to Midnight's Edge After Dark. I don't know if I'm froze or everybody else is froze. I think it was me. Yeah, anyway. Welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. My name is Tom. With me tonight is Rob and Mecca via satellite in an undisclosed location from the moon.
The moon. I wasn't going to jump.
Yeah, you're floating around. So, and also with us, our good friend Mike the Anti-Trucker. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how you doing? So this is great. Breaking news here that Mecca has left Lore Reloaded for Rob. I
get.
I know Lore Reloaded will be heartbroken, because he was really convinced that you guys were married.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Well, it looks like he was hooking it anyway from that video you were showing. So,
well, that's true. That's his side job. Everybody's got to make a living.
It's a chat.
Yeah, but I don't know if anybody'd want to. I don't know if I could date anybody who's a hooker.
No. See, that's the thing. You don't want to date anybody who sells themselves.
But wait a minute. You guys are on YouTube and you monetize your channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're selling yourself, right?
Not her coochie, though.
Yeah, that's selling like anything.
So it's okay to sell certain parts of yourself, just not every part
just
of
your soul, not your coochie.
Yeah, that's it.
I just want to make sure I'm clear on the morality thing here. So, okay.
So hold my soul to the Google.
And you didn't play the Mecha music, though.
Oh no, I didn't. Let's do that. I got that. That's a good idea. Even though they're in the same location, and Rob should be doing the announcement, and he's not.
Well, yeah.
Do the announcement.
And as always, we have the one, the only, the Demon YouTube Harpy.
Me.
Miss Mecha Random.
Me. I don't have the theme music.
Dum 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 dum.
Yeah. Sunscreen. Just be practical, folks.
What? Do I even want to know what that is?
She said it's sunscreen. We're going with that.
Yeah, sure. It's sunscreen.
We do have a surprise for everybody.
Oh no.
Supreme Leader has found Supreme Leader's favorite brand of soda. As you can see, we go to drink it live on the air. Kim Jong-il Nuclear Orange Bum Soda with terrorizing taste.
Wait,
I predict you will be ill after you drink that soda.
It sounded like you said orange bum. So if you, orange bum soda. So is that like Donald Trump's butt?
Yes.
Yes.
My butt is not orange from the lights.
So I just want to make sure I understand this. So you're going to be drinking liquid that came from Donald Trump's butt.
Well, where Supreme Leader is from, we do very strange things.
So you are right.
Okay.
And yes, he's bottled personally by Vladimir Putin. So.
Okay, let's get out of the political jokes and stuff. Oh, balls! How's it taste?
It is the most vile thing I have ever tasted.
Oh, it's probably nasty as fuck.
It is. This is. It is not even Orange Crush bad.
Not even bad. Does it even taste like Orange Crush? No.
It tastes like an orange pixie stick.
It smells It smells like an otter pop.
Is it more like one of those Mexican sodas, or what is it?
It's like an orange creamsicle otter pop.
What the hell? Okay. Anyway.
This is going to terrorize my bowels in 12 hours when I have to go.
Yeah, but super chat already. Yay! I don't have my sound effects up.
Did you
read it, Rob? No, he walked away. He walked away.
$1.99 from Thomas Potts. Here is some anti-tracker money. Oh.
Yeah, see, now Thomas, good friend of the channel, Thomas, and every night when I do a live stream, he always throws a $1.99 super chat in. So now you guys get it, and I'm going to have a chat with Thomas later.
Well, we would normally be doing WinCom stuff tonight, but since Rob's on location, I think we're going to bypass it till Friday. How's that sound?
That works. With everything should be back to normal by Friday.
Yeah, because
I will be in an undisclosed location on Friday, somewhere in the Smoky Mountains with Mrs. Anti-Tracker.
Ooh.
Neat.
Well, also I do have some things I can give away that don't require mailing out or anything like that I'll give to anybody who wants them, but they'll be just the free movies, because last week our winner is not in the US, so he was unable to use the movie passes. But yeah, we'll work that out.
So
maybe what you should do is just for the future is have, like, if you have a prize that you have to be in the US to be able to redeem or something, have an alternate prize in case you get someone who's out of the US for the draw.
I had planned on that. Also, I just thought about it. I'm like, it's kind of stupid. I shouldn't have to, I mean, the digital codes, I can just send them to somebody through over the email, like through a picture. I don't have to actually send it to anybody, so anybody can win those. So I'm going to start doing that. And then the other stuff, that way I shouldn't run into that problem as much or at all.
Tom, I do have to say, you just made yourself sound very old for the first time by saying over the email.
The emails!
Yes.
I use the emails still for porn!
Old Man Picard.
Old Man Picard, I didn't know you were on the internet.
I want printouts only. Printouts only, please.
I use the Googles.
You used the Googles? What do you got on the Googles?
Anything you want, including dune buggy porn. Did you realize this is a thing, Rob?
No, I did not. Oh, Old Man Picard. I actually was playing Grand Theft Auto the other day, and there was a dune buggy.
Oh, really? I'll have to get that game. But ever since I discovered the Googles and the dune buggy porn, I have not slept, and my wrist is killing me.
Mr. Kurt LB says, "Is Rob walking around like he has to pee?"
He always does.
I
Oh my
always
God,
does.
he always does.
I always asked him, like, when he first got out there after like a day or so, I had to learn to quit asking him, like, if he needed something or something was up or what was up, because yeah, he just
Something's up. He looks like he's shifty. Like, stop bouncing off the walls. Calm down.
Oh, but we've got a ton of stuff that dropped. For those of you who are up in the wee hours, you may have seen me on a little channel. Not many people have heard of it. It's called Geeks and Gamers. And a few of us, like little guys out there, were talking about this big news. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. Obviously, it was a big deal. Among great talking about this incident right now that's shaking the world. And like Doomcock said in his video, this is the same shit we've been saying for 2 years about George Lucas, but we'll get into that. We got a quick super chat.
Ka-ching!
I do have the ching. I have it ready. $2. Hey.
Yes. Jeep porn is greater than dune buggy.
I beg to differ.
I would allow me to clarify a little bit, since I know the story of this whole bird of prey. For those of you that don't know, has been stuck in a hospital bed for 10 years. Before that, he was obsessed with Jeeps. And so he has like pictures of his Jeeps. He I swear that he physically is attracted to Jeeps. So now that he's stuck in his bed, all he can do is lie there and fantasize about Jeep porn. And he does it on his live streams on a fairly regular basis. Which is every bit as creepy as it sounds.
That is creepy. Yeah,
I've never heard of Jeep porn.
I got about 2 hours of sleep if I'm lucky.
Anyway,
let's unravel this fucking mess. And I don't use the term lightly, because it has been nothing but a mess the last couple days as far as Star Wars goes. Well, this all started a couple days ago when it was announced that I don't have that story up. Let me get that one up. The park, the lady who's head of the parks.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get her name here.
Yeah, something is like Powell, Catherine Powell.
I think you're right. I think it's Catherine Powell, but I'm going to bring up the story here. Uh,
You can probably bring it up on your phone if
Yeah.
you want to just read it.
it's Catherine Powell. Yes, it is. She is leaving the company after Star Wars Galaxy's Edge attractions fell flat.
You think?
And this is the headline, folks, from Hollywood Reporter. I'll bring this one here. I'll bring this one up here first. Let's start with this because I think this kind of started the whole ball rolling to a point. But actually, Bob Iger's book came out Monday, and I didn't know about it. I do have it. I haven't got to read it, listen to it, whatever. It's the audible version. But I do plan on it, and I do plan on having some more things to say about it when I do. Until then, though, if I can figure out what the hell I'm doing here.
We're trying to bring it up here. We're trying to bring it up.
I've got it now. Disney Parks, but if Rob wants to read it, that's fine.
Yeah, if you want to read it. Well, I mean, we can't see it on the screen, but
Okay. Well, anyway, I'll just do it real quick. Catherine Powell, who oversees the U.S. and Paris theme parks for the Walt Disney Company, is leaving the studio. The Hollywood Reporter has confirmed. As president of the Disney Parks West, Powell was in charge of Disneyland Paris, Walt Disney World, and Disneyland. Powell was also in her post during the recent openings for the 2 new Star Wars lands, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disney World in Orlando and another one in California, Disneyland Parks. That fell flat on attendance. They admit it finally. Oh, but no. There's tons of people there, right? We're wrong. We're nothing but rumor mongers. We're rumor mongers.
No. Yeah, and not only that, they've sent people out on Twitter like before them. I had one video drop, and literally the second I tweeted it out, I had somebody on my ass responding from clearly a Disney shill sort of handle, saying, "Oh no, Galaxy's Edge nothing's wrong with that." And this is like a month ago or whatever. One of the first reports were coming in that it was empty. So if it's not empty, then how come she's stepping down? How come they're now saying it's got low attendance? This is official. This is the Hollywood Reporter now saying that. We're not just, it's not like a rumor site. It's not Cosmic News or something.
$9.99 super chat from Mexican Iron Man. I was online for every minute last night for that stream, Capital Stream. It was epic, and Tom did a fantastic job on the stream. Hey, Bird of Prey, rock. Midnight is victorious and vindicated. And so is our fandom menace. Thank you, Mexican Iron Man.
I'm trying to find that one. Oh, you got it. Okay. All right. You got it. All of it's there. That's a big one. Holy cow. Thank you, Mexican Iron Man. And you're a trooper if you stayed in for that one. Holy cow. That was a long the whole stream was like 5.5 hours, and I was on it for over half of it, I think.
Yeah, those are great though. Like if you get a good stream rolling with a good group of people, yeah, I've done a couple of those with some of the fandom menace, like Geeks and Gamers people too. If you get a good conversation, those just fly right by.
But yeah, so here we go. It's right in the big bold black letters. And to be fair, yeah, I've heard for a while now that Disneyland and Disney World attendance has been down over across the board. But when more people are waiting to get in to the teacup ride than are waiting to get into the Millennium Falcon ride, something is wrong.
Well, okay? they priced themselves out of the market. Everything's so damn expensive.
Well, there's that aspect of it too, because if you'll remember I think it was Gary's video when he went through the Galaxy's Edge deal, and there was the family that they had to that just breaks my heart every time I have to tell this fucking story. Because, I got a kid. I was a kid. We all were kids. You know what it's like to see some other kid get something and you not get it. I'm sure everybody's had to experience that once in their lifetime. But imagine a family having to sit there and pick one of the children to get a lightsaber because they're $200.
Right. I would probably not let either of the kids get it. It'd be like, no. Those
better way to spend that $200. You could go have a hell of a time at an ice cream shop for $100 with 4 or 5 kids.
You can get a Nintendo Switch. The new ones are coming out like this week. Get a new one.
Go to La Casa Bonita.
Yeah,
go to Casa Bonita.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something right now. I was shocked and astounded that it's a real place. And all I could think of was Cartman saying to the cliff diver, jump, asshole.
Jump, asshole. But speaking of, South Park starts tonight, and it totally blew. I was like, whoa, it starts tonight? Wow.
Wow, South Park starts tonight?
Yeah. I didn't even realize it.
I didn't even realize it either. I was like, yeah, I can't wait till South Park starts. And
I just retweeted it like not just before the show. I was like, oh shit, that's right. It is that time of the year again.
Time when Comedy Central realizes that the only thing they have left is South Park and Trey's ready to come back.
I wonder how much they had. I wonder how many dump trucks they had to pull up to Matt and Trey's house to get those last 3 seasons out of them.
Well, before we get too off topic, have you seen Crank Anchors yet? Or does that start this week?
New ones. Is it any good?
I don't know. I think I wasn't sure when it started.
I don't know if it has or not yet, to be honest. I know David Spade's show started. That's all I know.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Catherine Powell.
Yeah. So obviously, like I said, to be fair, yeah, the park attendance has been down, but let's see if there's anything else in this that kind of, here we got a lot more Star Wars stuff. The studio.
There was another article too, though. There was another article about that says they're going to be doing this whole marketing blitz. It was from Motley Fool, if you can find that article, or maybe Rob can while you read those.
But
they're just going out of their way to just boost up this Galaxy's Edge because it's so successful.
All right. It has been understood from sources at Disney that Powell's post has been eliminated, and she will help in the transition as her staff reports to Disney Parks Experience and Products Chairman Bob Chapek. So in other words, Bob got her job. He took her job. The studio had high expectations for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which features 2 rides, not just one, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance and the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, and varied sci-fi shops and restaurants with Star Wars. It's a fucking mall. It's a Star Wars
one ride. That's all it is.
Yeah, with a horsey. But hype around the new Star Wars lands appears to have dissuaded some from attending soon after the launch. Oh,
there we go.
Yeah,
I got it, Tom.
They got to come up with some kind of excuse other than the fact that people are just pissed off because Star Wars sucks right now.
Well, they got to always blame it on the fans. They always got to find a way to blame it on the fans.
But here's an article from the Motley Fool, Tom. Disney's media blitz to save Star Wars Land has a slow start. First day of the broadcast cable network takeover Disney Star's Galaxy's Edge to promote Disneyland Disney World feels more like a take under. I'm gonna get
take over, but wrong.
Oh, take over. It's more like a take under. Okay. Bad. Yeah. The weekend takeover of the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge across most of Disney's media assets began with a whimper instead of a bang. The lone mention of the 14-acre Star Wars-themed attraction during Tuesday mornings live with Kelly Ripa and Ryan Seacrest on ABC was drowned out by the audience applause. The scripted theme park plug later that night on Blackish felt a bit forced. Disney surprised investors last month, revealing that attendance declined during its fiscal third quarter, despite Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opening at the original Disneyland in California halfway through the period. With signs suggesting that the sluggish turnstile trends continue in the current quarter, despite the expansion now open at both parks, it's not a surprise to see Disney call in some favors through its own networks, including ABC, Disney Channel, Freeform, Disney Junior, and even ESPN. The media push should help grow awareness of the new land and generate positive buzz, but it did get off to a slow start. It's a lightsaber. Disney probably thought that the deluge of tie-ins would get off to a strong start on the popular ABC morning show hosted by Kelly Ripa and Ryan Seacrest. Making a 7-day trip to Disney World and Disneyland, the show's giveaway to a call-in guest on Tuesday's live, would be an easy way to promote the theme parks and its latest expansion. Things didn't go as planned. The moment Ripa begins revealing begins revealing the prize is a week-long getaway, including stops at Disney World and Disneyland. The audience applause makes the subsequent plug for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge practically inaudible. And there's a clip. It gets worse. The prize is valued at approximately $17,000, Ripa says at the end of the plug. The audience breaks into another round of applause. Seacrest lets out a wow. Suddenly you realize that Disney is sending the wrong message by playing up a week at the parks as a $17,000 travel expense.
Holy fucking crap.
Something
That's a car.
That's
A really
pretty cool.
nice car.
That's 3 very good used cars,
Mm-hmm.
or 3 decent used
In
cars.
Rob world, yeah.
Well, you know, I need to go for a trip. I need a new car.
Yeah, I would tell my kids, if I had kids, I'd be like, no, you're not going to Disneyland. You're getting a car for your birthday, and you're gonna like it.
You want to go to
Well, anyway, something's probably not in the impulse
or
travel.
Disneyland? Hello?
Did everybody disappear?
I think Rob and Mech have dropped out.
Uh-huh. Sure they.
Because I can hear you, so it must not be me.
The galactic outpost that
There
the
they are.
Okay,
land
Rob.
inhabit.
Hey, Rob, we missed most of that. You dropped out.
Sorry.
Uh,
Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay,
Where'd you miss? Where'd we stop?
Well, wherever you left off from where I said do you kids, do you want to go to college or do you want to go to Disneyland?
yeah. Well, anyway, they had a scripted moment on Blackish where a coworker says they were going to Galaxy's Edge, and he mentioned Batu, the galactic outpost habits. Okay, as well as the joys of drinking blue milk, the Star Wars staple that is served up the park. However, the promo feels like a throwaway reference, and as it is, and the coworker is never heard or seen from again. So you just have a guy come in, hey, I'm going to Galaxy's Edge with the wife and kids, and he just walks off camera. How stupid is that?
You got killed there? Is that what you're gonna find?
He died off
He
screen
died off screen.
in a shaft accident.
Got mugged by a Jawa.
Well,
We
anyway.
know what happened.
Well, anyways, it says things will get better. The costly expansion will receive media mentions on ABC's Modern Family and the Goldbergs on Wednesday night. Disneyland will be featured prominently on the Goldbergs, as the season premiere is a nod to National Lampoon's Vacation, with Disney's original theme park filling in for Six Flags Magic Mountain, Wally World. I'll tell you about that in a second. Media Blitz will only heat up on Thursday. Newsy mentions on Good Morning America, The View, Tamron Hall, and Strahan, Sarah, and Kiki. Even Nightline is being recruited to help prop up attendance. Oh, this is just getting sad.
This is dumber than when they had Discovery cast members on what was it? Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah. We got a super chat, or we just $4.99 Echo Base Network. Hail, Tom, Rob, Mecca, Anti-Tracker. I was about to jump out, but then Mahler and Tom came in. Mahler's here?
Yeah, last night.
Oh, okay. Gave me something to listen to while working on content. Oh, cool. Well, thank you, Echo Base Network. Okay. The promo push then carries over to Disney Channel, Disney Junior, and even ESPN. Disney knows that it stumbled, taking a soft approach to marketing. What should have been its biggest domestic expansion more than 20 years. It realizes you need to earn customer direct discretionary dollars. And sometimes you price yourself out of contention in the Star Wars leaning expansion that initially seemed like a slam dunk. The battle's not over, and now Disney's ready to use the Force and the Force.
Oh God.
Okay, but here's the thing about National Lampoon's Vacation. What a lot of people don't realize, the short story that it's based upon, it's called Vacation 53, I believe it is, or Vacation 57.
Yeah.
You can read it. Yeah, you can read it online. The father shoots Walt Disney and goes to prison.
Well, and we brought this up before. There's a completely alternate ending that was reshot for National Lampoon's Vacation that is similar to that ending, and that is where he takes everybody hostage and he forces them to perform on stage. But it made the movie take a really dark turn, so then they reshot that whole new ending with John Candy.
But that's, but you know, remember what Chevy Chase said when he had his breakdown? He owes us. He owes us. We bought his movies. We want to see his movies. We bought his cereals. We want the toys. He owes us. That's what it's getting like.
He owes us. Don't touch.
It's unreal. I mean,
your dad's lost his mind, kids. You bought a gun?
He's carried around with his hand in the bag, yeah.
still got the fucking tag on it. That's not a real gun. That's a BB gun. It wouldn't even break the skin. I bet it would cause some damage.
Make it lodge on his skin and cause a real nasty infection.
He gets up, shoots him in the I love that fucking movie. I don't care. I love that movie. We'll get to talk about that.
Watch party.
Oh, yeah.
I know, right? So yeah, we're right. We were right all along. You know, all the great people like Gary and everybody else, the Drunk 3PO and most recently Mary and so many others in the Fandom Menace have gone and shown us there's nobody there. There's nobody there, and everything there is so overpriced. Who'd want to go there? $17,000.
That's a video.
17 fucking grand. That's part of my language.
That's unbelievable. Oh, I've been swearing. Rob.
That's okay. Tom Anticheck, are you familiar with a channel called Craniacs?
Craniacs? No, I can't say I am.
Well, anyway, I don't know what her name is offhand, but they're big Star Trek fans.
Okay. And
the girl from Craniacs actually went in there with a TOS era red uniform on, and she was asking about where's the Enterprise. It was oh, we're sorry, you can't cosplay. Well, not really a common cosplay. I just want to know where's the Enterprise. It was though, well, you know, we don't want you to cosplay. He says, okay, it's like, okay, they don't want you to cosplay. But since I'm in costume already, she goes, I just can't interact with anybody. That's all. But it was just hysterical. Like, yeah, that's about the size of it. Yeah. Like they have no idea what they're doing.
No fun.
Yeah.
Welcome to Disneyland. Give us all your money and don't have any fun or else.
Remember what I said? Leave your troubles and your wallet behind.
How the hell?
He did dinner, Master Wayne. Mattress Wayne. Damn.
Mattress. Okay, so we know that this is a failure, but this goes deeper than that, of course, much deeper. We all knew this, that George was betrayed by Disney. And I added to the conversation last night something we all know here, except for Annie Trekker, who wasn't privy to that conversation, and that was that George actually wanted to give Disney Star Wars or Lucasfilm. He didn't want anything for it. I think, and that was because he really trusted them to take care of it, because ever since the 80s, George has pondered the idea of doing something with Disney, either selling the company to them, or even when it came to the prequels, he first thought about having Disney release them, but he came up with a deal with Fox that in the end it worked out that he released them through there. But it sounds to me like he was really duped into this whole situation. Now, he wasn't able to just give Disney the rights to Lucasfilm and all that because he couldn't just give it to them outright because of the tax situation. So I believe once money got involved, that's when Disney put in a stipulation that they didn't have to follow the guidelines. And then as soon as George learned, you know, this was not going to go the way he thought, I think that's when a lot of the white slaver comments came from, and, you know, I sold my babies. You know, I mean, there was a lot of that kind of talk out of him in that one famous interview with Charlie Rose, I think it was. We showed about 10 times last night on the podcast. So, I mean, it's one of those things where obviously we knew they didn't go with what he said. I wonder if he always expected them to and didn't find out till after the fact, like it's implied, and was very upset. And this all comes from Bob Iger's book. So yeah, before we get into this, do you guys have anything initially to say about the recent reports that have come down? How you feel about any of this thing? I mean, we all knew it from the start.
Well, Galaxy's Edge being a failure should surprise exactly no one, because the problem is that Galaxy's Edge should have been a no-brain runaway success, except that, you know, Kathleen Kennedy and Ryan Johnson decided to turn Disney into Jake Skywalker and all that crap. And so the problem is that by the time that the damage was done, Galaxy's Edge was already, you know, well into the construction process, and they couldn't stop at that point. I think it makes sense as far as Lucas himself probably felt like he was going to be pulling the strings as far as the story of Star Wars. And then when they said, nope, you can't have anything to do with it, and the money got involved and stuff, that's where I'm sure he felt betrayed for that. But quite frankly, he picked Kathleen Kennedy. He chose to sell the company, and he agreed to the terms. Now, I don't like what has happened to Star Wars since Lucasfilm was sold, and he may have had that intent, but I would not say, I don't think that Lucas was betrayed. He did a stupid thing. If he really cared about the future of Star Wars, he should not have simply sold it off.
Well, another thing too is that he sold the company, but he had an outline for a trilogy,
right?
For this trilogy, and they just said, "Screw you."
That was another thing. Him, it was a treasure trove, I believe, was the quote.
Yeah, but the thing is, if that was so important, that should have been in the terms of him selling it, that you will use these stories.
And I think maybe that was at first when he initially, and that's where I think that this information that we got from our very reliable source. So it has to be taken as rumor, because I'm not going to say who said it because I don't want to betray this person. But this very reliable source told us flat out that he wanted to give Star Wars and Lucasfilm to Disney because he trusted them. And we hear that time and time and time again in his interviews when he talks about it. He's like, I trusted them to do this, and I thought it was the best place for Star Wars to be. And,
well,
so I mean,
Disney isn't known for great family entertainment.
Exactly. It was a no-brainer, and like many people have pointed out in the chats too, he got $4 billion. Yeah, boo-hoo, he's crying into his $4 billion about it. But I think at this point it wasn't even really about the money. That was what I was getting at, as far as because he's got more money than God. The man doesn't
have money. The guy has money. I'm like, what, $4 billion? I mean,
well, he gave it to charity anyway.
Yeah, I think and that's the whole thing, is why I believe this story, that he wanted to just give it away. And it makes sense now that I think, until money got involved, he was under the impression that they were going to, respect his honor and continue on these stories that he had set up. But he was just kind of saying, I'm getting old. This isn't my thing anymore. I tried it with the last 3 films. It did nothing but bring me hell. And they didn't want me involved anyway, which is fine. But I can see his point of view, money or not. Why would you go to this extreme to change everything that George gave you? Even if it was just minor, it would be not such a big deal, because he just gave him outlines. He didn't give him scripts. He gave him outlines, okay? And instead they went their own way. But then you got, and Jeremy also showed these interviews too, where, and I don't want to bring them up because I don't want a bunch of copyright strikes, or I do it and it takes forever to go through them, and we're already going way over time as it is on this. Basically, though, the gist of it is you got JJ and Kathy going, oh, we wondered, what would George do? What would George do? We wanted to honor George. Well, if you wanted to honor George and wanted to know what George do, like Jeremy said, and I agreed with him, it's right there in front of you. He gave it to you. It's right there. It's not, and like Jeremy even pointed out in jest, it's not like George probably wasn't just a phone call away either. At any given time. And now we know for a fact that he's been involved with The Mandalorian. We have good reason to believe that he's been involved behind the scenes on the Obi-Wan Kenobi project, and possibly whatever else is coming down the line. So I ask you guys, what kind of situation do you see here? Do you believe our source on this? Because you guys were there, Mecca and Rob. I think it was a pretty believable story. This is all starting to make much more sense now. What do you guys think?
Was it our source? Oh, okay. The same one who said that they cheered on Solo.
Well, yeah, we don't want to collect too much. You don't want to put too much to it. But yeah.
Nobody knows who said that, so yeah. Okay, yeah.
Well, we know who said it. But.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, Tom. George didn't have a script or stories for strong female characters. That's why I had to say, screw you, Georgie Podgy.
Which we don't have exact proof, but as far as I know, isn't necessarily true either, because he had a similar character to Rey in his outline. Matt, welcome to the show.
Well, similar, but not necessarily.
All they did was take away any probable characteristics she had. I'm guessing they had to make her a blank slate, like you'd like to say, Rob.
Yeah, well, they went overboard. I mean, Remember, I keep thinking of that scene in Animal House when they trash the car, and Tim Matheson is saying to Flounder, "Flounder, face it, you fucked up. You trusted us." That's what this reminds me of. That's what this reminds me of.
So Matt, welcome to the show. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Sorry, I'm late.
That's all right. You had to deal
No,
with
that's not all right. Why are you giving him excuses?
because he's not you. And anyway, no.
Wow. All right.
No, he had a plumber at the house, so he had to deal with that. You can't trust those people alone. I'm just kidding.
They were supposed to come at 1 o'clock. They didn't get here till 4.
Of course, and I'm sure there was water spraying everywhere, and the dog was going nuts, and the wife was screaming. And no, you're not married yet, I don't think so. Anyway, point being, we started off talking about the whole Disney park thing, where they finally have been basically admitting failure there. Now we've got a little bit more admission of failure here, plus the betrayal of George Lucas. I was kind of tying it into the information that we had heard from our one source on the situation about this and George, and wanting to just give it to Disney because he trusted them so much. And it sounds like he had that trust all the way through until he finally realized that he had sold his babies to white slavers, as he put it. I don't know if you want to give us your overall take on that. We've kind of been just chit-chatting on that a little bit.
Yeah, my take on it is that George Lucas is a guy who is used to kind of being the king of the castle. When he was doing the prequels, he literally, no one around him told him no.
Right.
He was basically the guy in charge. And it's very hard for people who are used to that type of thing to let go control of their creations. And I think that part of Lucas's feeling of betrayal stems from having to give up that control. And I honestly think that even though I'm not a big fan of what Disney has done with Star Wars, I'm not exactly confident in George Lucas's writing abilities. And I think that his outlines that they decided not to use probably weren't all that good to begin with. And that's one of the reasons why they decided not to use them. So that was kind of my take on it. But I know there are people out there who worship the ground that Lucas walks on. So, I could be completely wrong. They might have been brilliant, but I feel like it's one of those situations where like both sides are kind of at fault on this one. So I can see it from both the Disney and the George Lucas point of view.
Well, they might have not. I mean, it's unusual. It's kind of strange you say that these outlines might have not been not that good, and yet we have The Last Jedi.
Well, I'm not saying that what they came up with was better.
No, and I get it. I do get where Matt's coming from and what he's saying. Here we got to look at the situation where they were at the time, and we all kind of bought into it too. I mean, there was a majority of the fan base that was like, "Oh, okay, George is not going to be involved. Okay, good, yeah." The prequels were the
prequels too.
A lot of people. I'm not still that great of a fan of them, and are they better than some of the shit we've gotten here? That's debatable and very probable if you want to go through it point for point. But we're not going to do that right now. Point is, I can see how things work, and as Matt and Rob and I'm sure Andy Trucker's pointed out on his channel and other things, you got to look at this from the point of view of the studios. The Force Awakens was a huge hit. Okay, they don't really see any of the backlash to that. They knew there was going to probably be a minimal amount of pushback from a certain amount of the fan base that they were more than willing to figure as collateral damage. What they didn't expect was The Last Jedi to be as divisive as it was. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people go out there and they want to flare up and go, "Oh, they wanted to piss us off." Part of that's true if you go from the perspective of Kathleen Kennedy wanting to destroy all the classic characters and focus on the female characters. She has already kind of admitted that to so much. So that part is somewhat true. But the other side of it is, I can't believe that Bob Iger and other people involved deliberately went out there wanting to make the most divisive Star Wars movie in history. That it just doesn't make economical sense to want to do that. Now they're learning in the long run that they've pissed off a lot of the fans. Bob Iger came out recently, said now the buck stopped with him. This was all after the Solo thing. Again, I'm not making excuses for Iger or Disney, but we have a situation here where they seen there was a problem, like the plumber that was at Matt's house, and Bob had to come and fix it and plug it up. Okay, that's where I see now is the issue. And now he says the buck stops with him. So everything that has happened from Star Wars here on out since Solo, I'm imagining goes over his desk. Like he okays it or nixes it one way or the other. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that or change, has another point of view on it or try and change my mind on that. But I'm pretty sure that's the situation at hand, because Kathleen Kennedy is the one I think that really is the one who betrayed George Lucas overall, because she's the one that he appointed to Lucasfilm before Disney was even part of the equation. From day one, he trusted her to oversee his baby. He put a lot of trust in her, and I feel like if anybody is to blame most of all, it's probably Kathleen Kennedy. Now, I don't know if anybody agrees with me or disagrees with me. Let's go across here. Rob, let's start with you, since it sounds like you have something to say. Rob?
He's asleep.
Mecca finally killed him.
Or maybe something.
Okay, well, let's go with you, Annie Trekker. What do you think about what I just said?
I like your plumber analogy, because I was picturing Bob Iger bending over showing his crack. I think that this is a situation where it's, you can't just point at one person and give the blame. That's not fair. It's easy to side with George Lucas, but a lot of the people that are surrounding Disney with pitchforks and torches and screaming for George Lucas to come back are the same people that were trying to run George Lucas out of town when the prequels came out. So I don't think that George Lucas is the devil, and I don't think that he's a saint. I think that he is a guy that came up with a great idea, and when the time came, he thought that on a handshake deal with Disney, they would honor his traditions. But Disney, being a corporation, if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. And the writing says it's ours now. And the fact is, and the thing that kind of gets me the most about all this is that, George Lucas, besides wanting Disney for their obvious reputation for family programming, which seems like a smart move, but he handpicked Kathleen Kennedy to take over Lucasfilm. And Kathleen Kennedy, more than any other individual, is responsible for the content that we've gotten in the new Star Wars. And so, Bob Iger says the buck stops here. It's his company and all that. And I admire that attitude. But Kathleen Kennedy actually created this mess. And Bob Iger, his biggest sin was to allow the mess to be created.
Right. And I don't disagree, but you got to, again, I got to see it like Matt would probably from his point of view, and he might say something similar. So I don't want to get into it too much, but Bob probably saw it as, it's Kathleen Kennedy. I trust her. And Star Wars, The Force Awakens hit. Rogue One hit.
Right. And everybody thought, they nailed it.
Box office, but they didn't know until down. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, and that's the thing. Is that if you based on Rogue One and The Force Awakens, Star Wars was on the right track. And even from most of the fans, like I would say that even most of us that are considered the fandom menace, there was some people that we're saying, man, Rey is kind of a Mary Sue here, and the ending of the Force Awakens is kind of garbage, but I see a lot of potential here. That's kind of what the attitude was. It was like, yeah, The Force Awakens isn't perfect, but it's moving in the right direction, and it's got this potential once we unlock all these mysteries. And of course, J.J. Abrams, famous for the mystery box philosophy. And, once all this stuff is uncovered, where's it going to go? Where's the lore heading? This is kind of interesting. Yeah, it sucks that Rey has all these powers, but wait, in the next one, we're going to find out that, she was secretly trained, but then had her memory wiped, or she is something we've never seen before, or some big explanation that everybody was expecting. And then Rian Johnson dropped his pants and took a huge dump on the franchise. And not only taking a dump on the classic lore of Star Wars from the 6 original films under George Lucas, but, taking a crap on J.J. Abrams' film and taking every plot setup that J.J. Abrams did and ruining it. And purposefully ruining it. It's not like it was an accident. It's not like he didn't know that he was destroying the foundations that JJ was setting up. So it's, Ryan Johnson to me should literally be ran out of Hollywood. I mean, if pitchforks and torches are appropriate for anybody, it's Ryan Johnson.
Knives Out.
Yeah. No, man.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
sorry. So I could go on all day about that, but yeah.
No, that's fine. No, I get you.
So Ryan Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, they are the primary antagonists in this story to me. Bob Iger and George Lucas, while not innocent saints, they didn't create the mess. They just kind of enabled the mess.
Right. So you have like basically dad and new stepdad or something like that. Rob, Mecca, are you guys back?
Yeah, looks like we came back. Yeah, we dropped off for a second. It looked like.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if you guys heard the long spiel, but what's your take on this since we got you, and then we'll get to Matt.
Well, I was thinking, I was going to agree with you on Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger. I think Kathleen Kennedy, on paper, I think nobody had a problem with Kathleen Kennedy because you can look to her resume and she should be the right person for the job. She's worked on every single franchise. If you really just kind of look at just her credits and don't really understand a lot of the ins and outs in Hollywood and everything. I was even a supporter of hers when he sold it. I'm like, yeah, it's okay, sure. I know that name. I've seen her on everything. I've seen her on everything from Animaniacs to Star Wars to E.T. Of course, she's the right person. So no, I don't think anybody went in intentionally, wanting to mess up the franchise. Nobody went in, I don't think you could have anticipated the screw up Star Wars was. I don't think anybody could have anticipated the screw up that it was. And I think you're also right, Anti-Trekker. Ryan Johnson's just every little gift, every little setup that JJ gave him. It's just, where did you go with it? Where did you go with it? I was also kind of one on the okay, Force Awakens is pretty good. It's let's see what the next one is. The next one will give us a lot, and then we'll have a cliffhanger, and then it'll be awesome for this little ending. And we never, I don't think we're gonna get it. I think we're gonna get just a flat, wet fart coming out of the end of this franchise. And that's what's going to be. And nobody's going to care.
Ryan Johnson's the kid that's got to fuck it up for everybody.
Yep. Yeah, he's the guy who broke the toy, so nobody can play with it.
And I think and Kathleen Kennedy is the mom who let him play with that toy, thinking, oh, no, he'll never ruin it. I know my junior. He'll take good care of it. And then it's in pieces. Ryan, why did you do that? And she, the bigger issue is Kathleen Kennedy thought it was a good idea. She honestly thought this was a good idea, just turning over the keys to Ryan Johnson. She probably thought this was going to work.
Well, and I brought this the other night, and I don't think you guys were here on that show, but I said, all these auteur in quotation directors she brought on, she should have been bringing them on for like TV shows and stuff, not for these movies. These movies should have been handled by guys like Jon Favreau, Ron Howard, those kind of people. Matt, what do you think of all this? You have been quiet thus far.
I think there are two issues at play here. I don't disagree with anything anyone said so far. Kathleen Kennedy has proven to be very unequipped to deal with the responsibilities that she was given. And in all fairness, she's not an executive. She didn't have a background in this stuff. She was basically a line producer. She was a logistical person for Spielberg and Lucas for decades. So, the talents it takes to become a good executive are very different than the talents it takes to be a good producer. And I don't think that she's risen to that level quite yet. Now, the big issue here is that on the studio end of things with Iger, I think their biggest mistake wasn't so much not going with Lucas's outlines. It was the fact that they decided to fast track the development of this stuff and rush it out the door instead of developing a full trilogy from the start like the original writer wanted to do. I think he wanted 18 months to sit down and plan out all three movies and write the scripts.
They did have a plan, and even it's been stated by other people that they knew who the Ray's parents were.
But,
they had an idea of where things
but regardless, there was an initial push to actually do a development of a trilogy And Iger, I think, impatiently decided, hey, let's get this out the door. And so J.J. Abrams was kind of forced to just do the first movie, and it set a bunch of things up, but like they didn't have a long-term plan for it, and they just pushed it out the door. So that was the first issue at play, was that on the studio end of things, they rushed it. And it was a gambit that ended up paying off for them. I mean, I think they've made back their purchase price of Star Wars and then some, but at the same time, it probably would have been a better idea to actually go through the development process of all 3 movies, have one director handle all of them, kind of like a Lord of the Rings type situation. Now, the second issue, which is something that nobody's brought up yet, is J.J. Abrams himself. I think JJ shoulders a great deal of the responsibility of how this stuff turned out, because it's my belief that it was probably JJ's call not to use George's outlines, because he wanted to do his own thing, because he knew that all the pressure was on him. So he wanted to make sure this was a hit, and that meant kind of going back to the well and recycling all the stuff that people loved about Star Wars. And I have a feeling that George Lucas's outlines were very kind of highbrow and philosophical as opposed to popcorny. Which is one of the reasons why JJ decided not to go with them. And this is another one of the reasons why the entire EU got chucked out the window, is because JJ didn't want to be constrained by anything. He wanted the freedom to do his own thing. And I think he was able to convince Iger to back that play. And so I think a lot of the problems with Disney Star Wars originated with JJ's insistence of not being beholden to anything that came before him and just doing his own thing. So those are the 2 issues that I think kind of played a big role in how things have turned out, was that the studio would just rush the stuff out too fast, and the guy they put in charge of it creatively just did kind of a slapdash job, and that led to bringing in an even worse slapdasher in the form of Rian Johnson.
Yeah, you're not wrong. JJ is a big part of this that I hadn't even got to yet. Rob, you were going to say something. Sorry.
Well, first there's a $9.99 super chat from Chris Pavetto. I'm leaning with Iger making this public as a billionaire version of an apology for the brand IP to succeed. Lucas is a stockholder, won't know his side for years. Hamlin's version, though. Yeah, it's true. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I am. It's one thing they brought in J.J. Abrams, Brian Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, and Bob Iger. They were pretty much was Kathleen Kennedy, from what I understand, in that Bob Iger interview, that wanted to toss out George Lucas's original outline.
Right.
And you know what? Isn't she really big in the Me Too movement and women's issue? And I'm guessing, listen, in my opinion, it sounds like she was waiting to get her greasy little mitts on something like this. Okay, I'm going to make sure there's strong female. And you know darn well she said to J.J. Abrams, you make the main character a woman, make her invincible.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Rob. I wish you would have saw that podcast last night, because we dove deep into Miss Kennedy. Did you know she was a football star?
That's a scary thought, okay?
Did you get cobwebs, Jeannie?
Yeah, cobwebs. Did you know that she was a football star in high school? And not only is she a football, she's a quarterback, no less. Mm-hmm. And she got her first job as an affirmative action hire for a news station.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
basically, I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom.
She's the bestest ever. And Jeremy and I and Mahler and Gary and all of us last night, she basically made Rey the way she is, because Kathleen Kennedy has never had to face anything in her life, it sounds like. Well, she has nothing but it handed to her.
It sounds to me like Rey is literally the Mary Sue for Kathleen Kennedy, that she is the fan insert for her.
And Rob has said that many times, and I think I even said that last night, that you've said that a couple times, that it's like she's just basically this blank slate that, like Kathy is almost.
Yeah, is it really what Kathleen Kennedy thinks of herself?
Yeah, is it really any coincidence that every protagonist in these films, with the exception of Solo, like a lot, the characters are these brown-haired, brown-eyed girls that around 5'8" 4, whatever it is, that can just that can do anything because they're the best as ever. Enfys Nest, what's Amelia? What's her face in Solo? Amelia Clark in Solo. The Jyn Erso in Rogue One. Rey. I mean, and I guarantee you, there is going to be someone in the Mandalorian leading around this guy, Pedro Pascal, this Boba Jr. or whatever you want to call him. You know, the Boba, you know, less than Fett. You know.
Well, and that's why I tend to think that personally, I think Kathleen Kennedy. I know I said Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson are what killed Star Wars, but I think that the overall direction of Lucasfilm is on Kathleen Kennedy more than anybody else. I know that JJ was, you know, he was more than happy to make Force Awakens the way that he made Force Awakens, but I don't think that JJ Abrams, the director of the film, would be able to convince them to renege on a handshake deal with Lucas. However, I think Kathleen Kennedy could.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was the paperwork, and I believe the thing is it was more or less, even though it was something that was probably in there, they probably told, oh yeah, that's there, but that's just as a, you know, a cautionary thing, because he said right up front he knew they didn't want him to be a part of the process, and he realized later,
in the book, he flat out says that he didn't want to be tied into actually being locked into making those outlines. So like he just said, like we'll keep an open mind about it. Like he never actually told Lucas, yeah, we're going to use them. He says we might use them. So
well, but I'm going to play my man card here for a second. Lucasfilm. What other franchise did Lucasfilm buy? And this besides Star Wars and the Muppets, what else did they buy? What else did Disney buy when they got Lucasfilm?
Marvel,
Indiana Jones. Why do you think we haven't seen an Indiana Jones movie? Because Kathleen Kennedy knows that it's a series starring a straight white heterosexual male that is toxically masculine that she cannot replace.
That's not true. I mean, it might be true to a certain extent, but the reason that
a straight white man fighting other straight white, the whitest of white men, Nazis.
The reason that Indiana Jones has always taken so long is because Spielberg, Ford, and Lucas always have to agree on the direction it's going in. And that's always been the detriment to the development of those movies, is because these three big guys always have to kind of come to an agreement on what they want to do. And Spielberg isn't the type to like overrule Lucas on those movies. So it's because of their involvement that those things take so long. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that I think that you also need to take that into account.
If KK said to them, I want you guys to develop a new Indiana Jones movie, and you have 18 months to do it, I guarantee you,
KK does not order around Spielberg. Spielberg orders around Kathleen Kennedy. She would never have that type of pull.
She always did. You know, when hey, Kathy, go get me a coffee. That's how she started working for her. But I guarantee you, if she asked him, Steven, do you think you could develop a new Indiana Jones movie and you could have it with me in the next couple of years? Oh, sure, no problem.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say something that's kind of in between what both of you are saying, because you're both kind of right, I think, to a point. Matt is right logistically, because Spielberg and Lucas and Ford all have to be on board for something. That's what took so goddamn long to get Crystal Skull, and then we wind up getting the same freaking script that George Lucas has been toting around for years, just because finally he changed it from aliens to interdimensional beings. Spielberg's like, all right, I'll do it. You know, and he even said that. So that's not even me making shit up or being, you know, hyperbolic in any way, because that's in the making of, I think, on the Blu-ray, for fuck's sake. But anyway, like, here's the other thing with this is I think you're right to a point, Rob, in the sense that notice Indiana Jones hasn't really been pushed. There hasn't been any classic indie anything. Now, part of this can be because Paramount still does have portions of the IP on their end. But at the same time, as you pointed out, and this is something I brought up last night too, and this is true, the whole reason that Iger and company brought in Marvel, Lucasfilm, and stuff like that is so they could get more of the boy demographic, because they already had the female demographic nailed down with all the Disney princesses and everything like that. This was supposed to be something to beef up the male side of things. I don't think, and I believe it in a way, because there's certain things that Bob Iger has said in tweets and other things, and I have yet to. I got his book, man. It sounds like you read it. Did you read it?
The excerpts from it. I haven't read the full book yet.
Okay, I plan on getting through the whole book in the next couple of days, and hopefully by the next show I'll have more to say about this, actually having gone through the book. But basically what I'm getting to is I think that this was essentially established so they could get more of the boy demographic on the Disney, money pool. I don't think Bob Iger had planned on Kathleen Kennedy pushing so much of a female agenda through the films. Now, I will say one thing about Rogue One. Jyn Erso is an okay character, but that's just basically because they ripped off Inglourious Bastards. That's why. Mm-hmm. She's basically the same character. I don't know if anybody else has seen that movie that's on the panel.
But there's, let me tell you, Tom, though, there's a scene. You've seen The Dirty Dozen?
Yeah.
Okay, there was actually a sequel, The Dirty Dozen, the Return of the Dirty Dozen, where they actually, same idea, a bunch of prisoners, they trained for a special mission, and they landed in the middle of a Nazi airfield. And one of them's a black guy. He said, "You plan on making me a human sacrifice? How many other black guys you see out there?" And so they had to bandage him up. I'm like, I guarantee.
Oh, we lost him.
Yeah, we lost you again, Rob. Okay, well, until Rob gets back, I'm sure, Matt, you have a few things to say about what I just presented there, if not.
Not really.
So you kind of experience, I guess, then, huh? Or just no real argument.
Yeah, but I'm gonna. Yeah. Well, like I said, even money. Did you hear about the Dirty Dozen part?
We heard the Dirty Dozen part, and then you cut out right as you were getting into it. Like after
but there's a scene where
stuff. Yeah.
There's a scene where they land in the middle of a Nazi airfield. They take a look out the window, and the one black guy says, "Are you guys planning on making me a human sacrifice?" How many other black guys is out there? I mean, but like I said, this is a character where it has to be white and a man. It doesn't in a time period where that you cannot get into Nazi Germany if you are black, African, you are Middle Eastern, or whatever it is. Whatever, that you will stand finding other the whitest of white men. So I would lay even money that KK said, I don't know what to do with this. This is impossible to mold into my agenda.
I mean, she produced every Indiana Jones movie, so the idea that she wouldn't know what to do with it.
She wrote checks. It's like, did the guy at the end of the bench really help Michael Jordan win 6 championships?
I just think you're reading too much into this, Rob. I really don't.
I don't think I am. I really don't think I am, because we would have seen something in development by now.
There is something in development. They're working on it.
They're working on it. Yeah, well, they're working on it. Yeah. They're working on it the same way I'm working on fixing up that old Volkswagen in my garage.
Literally being developed as we speak. I think that the release date is projected to be like 2-3 years out, something like that. I don't know.
They're not working on it. No, seriously, that's kind of how things have been going lately. It's like, unless they have a release date, it's all in the rumor phases, I think, with everything.
Well, it's also Spielberg. That he takes his time with these things, and Disney's the type not to rush them. So.
I think we would have seen Chris Pratt or Bradley Cooper recast in the role of Indiana Jones if they were serious about making one. I really do.
What happened to Shia LaBeouf?
Shia LaBeouf's an asshole.
Okay, well, we just got
the Honey Boy movie that he's in looks pretty good, though.
Oh, they won't bring Shia back, but we just got an update 2 days ago from the writer. Says we're still trying to discover a great idea. 5th installment of the Indiana Jones franchise feels as if it's been imprisoned inside a rotting sarcophagus for eons. This is from Joe Blow, sorry. So on and so forth. I'm working on it again, says Kep. We're still trying, and I think we've got a good idea this time. We'll see. So
Where is that Indiana Jones animated series that guy did? Remember that he did the sizzle reel for that?
That was just his own thing. That'll
Yeah,
never
but I mean, they could easily put that in production. Put it on Disney Plus, or you can put it on Disney Plus. You can put it on Freeform or whatever. And there's things you can do with this character, but they don't want to do them.
I don't think you're wrong that a big part of why Indiana Jones may have been ignored as far as like being, utilized and monetized in other ways, because I haven't seen a lot of new Indiana Jones anything. I don't think you're wrong there, but I don't know if a lot of more of it has to do with just Disney having to work with Paramount on that. I don't know if Matt can add to that at all, but
not just Paramount, but Spielberg, Lucas,
and right.
Harrison Ford.
This is even like a re-release of the Blu-rays or
like the worst thing about Indiana Jones is the fact that you have these three very powerful Hollywood people involved, and they all have to like the idea before it can get moving. And so that's always been the issue with Indiana Jones, is that Spielberg, Lucas, and Ford have to align on what they want to do.
And I think there's one other factor, though, that is a major problem with all of this, and that is the general attitude that Hollywood has been having these last few years, and has been just building and building and building with the whole SJW movement. That it and in fact, Midnight's Edge put out the video just about the whole thing with Rambo. The fact that now having a manly, masculine, male lead character is considered bad taste, right? That is considered to be offensive and toxic and every bad word they can come up with to try and describe masculinity. And so let's say, Lucas or Spielberg or whoever's got this brilliant idea for the next Indiana Jones film, but in this political climate, forget about the fans for a minute, because the stupidest thing about Hollywood right now is they've completely forgotten about the fans. They don't give a crap about what people want to see. They're trying to think of what do people need to see in order to educate them and make sure that they are all good, sensitive, new age people. And so since we can't give people what they consumers. Right, but yeah, we can't give people what they want, because what they want is bad for them, and so we have, they want cake, but we're going to give them broccoli, right? That's how they see this whole hyper feminism movement, is that it's giving people what they really, really need, and so with that,
and I know you're not wrong, because not to interrupt you, but we watched a good portion of the Kathleen Kennedy interview last night, and she is way out of touch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this woman is way out of touch with how the rest of the world is. If you listen to her talk, she'll make you think that no woman in the history of Hollywood but her has ever had a major job.
Right. And how many times
women are turned away constantly?
Yeah, how many times do you hear that, though, Tom? Not just from Kathleen Kennedy, but from every female actress, every female director, every female producer. They're always, every time they get some big role, like Zoe Saldana, right? Fine actress, no problem with her whatsoever. She was doing an interview for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and she was talking about how great it was to have an opportunity to play a strong female character for once. And I'm like, my thought is, and pardon my French, but my thought is, bitch, please, you played Uhura in Star Trek, now you're playing Gamora in the MCU, and you don't think that there are any freaking strong female characters out there? You've had two iconic roles already. And
not
so
only that, I think now she overtook as she has the crown now as far as the highest grossing female star in Hollywood, as far as all the movies she's been in, because of the MCU and stuff.
Right.
And Star Trek and stuff.
And I'm sorry, but all these women out there in Hollywood, not all women, of course, most women are perfectly reasonable people, but these Hollywood elitists are sitting there screaming about how unfair the world is while they're driving their solid gold Lamborghinis. It's like, screw you guys.
Well, my point was, is there a slot touch?
Like that too.
My point is that she's and people like her are so out of touch because they don't even realize that in the normal world outside of Hollywood and DC, Women have already basically gotten equality for the most part in the workplace. We already know it's stupid and bad to sexually harass women in the workplace. We've already worked with plenty of people of other races other than white. You know, I've had lots of bosses that are girls, you know, or women or whatever. You know, it's nothing new. What the fuck is the problem here? Why is this a thing anywhere but Hollywood and in DC? Because these places are such a big bubble. And they normally go ahead of the curve on things that they think they are anyway. In this instance, they're so far behind that they want to speak out now on it. Go ahead, Matt, because I'm sure you have something to say about that.
Yeah. So I think I'm. Correct me if I'm wrong. I may be the only person on this call that actually lived and worked in Hollywood.
Probably.
And nothing you said was wrong, but within the bubble that is Hollywood. I don't think you guys realize just how demeaning a lot of these people's lives are for the most part, especially actors.
Yeah, I mean, fuck your $1 million. No, fuck you with that. I'm sorry.
No,
fuck you because they have. Sorry, no. I gotta say something. No. They have millions and millions of dollars.
You triggered.
They have millions and millions. Fuck you. They have millions and millions of dollars. Seriously, fuck you.
Not every actor has millions and millions of dollars
No,
when
no,
they work in
okay, fine,
Hollywood.
they have
A lot of them are
$100,000
starving.
Okay,
A lot of them are starving artists.
$100,000.
And
Okay,
all
the ones-
these all
the
these
ones that-
people, all these big actors at one
Shut up.
point were
Just 1
struggling
second.
to
What about
make
the ones
it.
who preach to us? The ones who preach to us. That's who we're talking about, not the up and coming ones. The ones who get on our
I'm trying to give you
fucking
guys
soapboxes
some
that we talk.
context here. I'm trying to give you guys some context. So please let me finish before you.
Okay,
jump
no,
on
but
this.
we're here. Let me tell you something though. When you have these actors and directors and producers on their high horses from their mansions, from their red carpet premieres, these are the people we're talking about, not the people working 5 restaurant jobs and going on 500 auditions. So get off your goddamn high horse. Stop talking down to us. And I'm sick of that.
Well, but look, a lot of these people who are the $1 million actors at one point were struggling. They're coming from a place where they know what it's like to be, to have it rough. And I'm not saying you're wrong, Mecca. I'm not saying that you're not justified. No, I'm not saying you're not justified in your outrage. What I'm saying is that in Hollywood, a lot of these people, even the actors that make it, they're horribly exploited and belittled by their very profession.
Can
I every dick in town for their millions of dollars, for their chance at $1 million. That is what's expected in Hollywood. Casting couches are expected.
Well, Gary and Nerdrotic said actually something that's very poignant. This Hollywood is a town that was built on snorting cocaine off of hookers' asses and people just disappearing and being dumped in the ocean. And now they're telling us how to behave.
Right.
I'm not saying that these people are right in how they're acting, but what I am saying is that a lot of these people, because of the Hollywood bubble and because they are so exploited, I mean, like I worked in the industry for a while, I saw it firsthand. A lot of these people get taken advantage of, even the really successful ones. And so there's this victim mentality among all of them where they feel justified in their outrage. And that is why they feel comfortable preaching about this stuff.
I understand where Matt's coming from now. I grew up in California. I actually wanted to be an actor for the longest time. I did, and I was involved in a lot of theater and stuff like that. I never made it to, a decent paying level, but I do get it. You are, as an actor, you are treated as a piece of meat. That's all you are. And whether or not you fit the role, whether or not it's all superficial. It is horrible, right? That week, I think anybody who's been in there and any level can understand that to a certain degree.
Yeah,
but here's the thing, Matt, is on the flip side of that, just because you had to crawl through the filth to get to the top doesn't mean that and I'm sorry, these are actors are perfectly rational, real human beings with brains that can function, I assume, and so they can understand, and they mostly do understand that not every freaking line of work is like Hollywood, and in fact, no other line of work outside of art is anything like Hollywood. The only industries that are like that are pornography and modeling.
you're not wrong, but a lot of these actresses, especially before they make it big, like I went to a actors workshop one time. It was one of those things where actors kind of put on a show to showcase their talent to agents and people. And the acting teacher, the coach who ran the studio, I found out that she was secretly pimping out her female students to people of note that would come to these things. So it was basically a whorehouse that she was running under the guise of an acting studio.
So that's supposed to excuse them from being assholes to us and talking down to us? Like, no, quit that.
Let me finish, please. Let me finish. I'm just saying that this is the type of stuff. This is the type of stuff that Hollywood hopefuls and eventually Hollywood professionals have to deal with. And it's messed up. It is one of the most messed up industries that you will ever see. And so when these, like, I've never met a well-balanced actor. I've never met someone who acted professionally and didn't have emotional or mental problems to some extent, because that's part of the job is manipulating your emotions and your thought process to embody a role. And that type of thing takes a toll on you. And so, these people, I'm just trying to give you some insight into why they are the way they are.
But the other thing, though, is listen. I'm going to say this right now. Most people working as actors and actresses really aren't that smart. I'm sorry, but because they go into a line of work that you don't necessarily have to. You study theater, you study acting, you go on auditions. You're not being educated. You don't get to educate yourself. And a lot of them are just, they get by on their looks because that's really one of the few assets they got. And the other thing I always say about them is, oh, well, you don't realize, especially when I see someone like Brie Larson or Sonequa Martin Green or some other idiot get up there. You don't realize how hard it is to do what I do. Fuck you. Try moving oxygen tanks in 100-degree heat.
This is why there is a resentment against men in Hollywood, is because all these actresses and studio people, women studio people have had to deal with this at a certain point in their careers. I mean, it's rampant through Hollywood. When I was there, the Harvey Weinstein stuff, Harvey Weinstein stuff was well known. It was an open secret.
It'd be just as easy as to say, you know what? I'm really grateful. I had to go through a lot of shit to get here, man. I'm really grateful to have this opportunity. You know what? I'm so thankful things worked out the right way. But it's you don't know what I went through. Oh, everybody needs to you need to worship me and listen to every word I say because I'm so smart and you're stupid. And you wonder why quote unquote normal people really resent that being talked to like they're children. And that's part of it. And like I said, it's Kathleen Kennedy on down. We know what's best for you. I'm like, fuck you. How do you know what's best for me?
Right. To get back to the topic at hand, because we got way off the beaten path. The people that Matt's talking about that are manipulating and using and doing all this shit are people like Kathleen Kennedy. These are the people that are in power. These are the people that are using everybody below them to get to whatever they want. So let's get back on the topic, though.
That makes her a gigantic hypocrite now.
Well,
I don't know the actresses, but the whole point wasn't so much the actresses as we're getting. The problem is the rod at the top,
right?
And we got future President Bob Iger, who's not doing his job. We got Kathleen Kennedy on the other side doing a shit piss poor job, trying to interject her fucking politics into shit that doesn't belong into Star Wars and never did, because it always has been inclusive. If you go past A New Hope, there are other characters that are not just white or male, which is this. There's a fucking walking carpet, for fuck's sake. So everybody's represented here in Star Wars.
Tom, let me say this: this is the irony of this whole discussion, right? And I understand Mech is very passionate about what she's saying. I understand what Matthew's coming from because he's trying to look at it from a more neutral perspective on that, and putting aside some of our personal feelings on what's been going on. But Hollywood itself is an insanely toxic environment. Matt did a very good job explaining some of that. Hollywood is a perverted, sick, filthy place to be. and it wrecks people, it destroys people, it chews them up and spits them out, and 99% of people that go to Hollywood to become actors end up on the streets. So it's not a pleasant experience, to be sure. And these are the people that are trying to tell the rest of the world that is not filthy, the world that is not broken, the world that is moving towards egalitarianism. They're trying to tell them how horrible everything is and how we need to actively fix it. And they get at these, like, you go, how many times at the Academy Awards in the last few years do you have somebody up there talking about all the discrimination and all the horrible things that happen to women in Hollywood, and all the movers and shakers of Hollywood are in the room standing up and applauding them, when all of them combined at a moment's notice could put it to an end? Because you are talking to the very people that are causing the toxicity. They're all agreeing. And here's the stupid part. These same actors that have been going on for the last year and a half about how insanely horrible, some guy is for grabbing their butt, or some other guy is because he wanted to have sex with them and all that. They are still to this day screaming of the injustice of Roman Polanski, a freaking convicted child molester that is so unfair that he has to live in his mansion in Europe and he can't come home. These people are completely effed up, and there's nothing redeeming about them.
Right. Why do you think Hollywood hates Seth MacFarlane?
Because he's a normal person.
He's a normal person, but he's been letting those secrets out one by one.
Well, so same thing with Matt and Trey too. We're kind of on the outskirts.
Remember when he had Stewie run naked through the mall? Help! I've just escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement.
And no, some of you are wrong in this situation. And Mac, I'm sorry. You're right too. And this is the problem with this whole situation, is like you guys are saying, and this is what I've been saying from the start. These people in Hollywood are such in their little bubble. They don't see the rest of the world and how it's progressed, because they've been living in this nasty bubble for so long, and they can't see beyond that. And Kathleen Kennedy is a prime example. If you watch that interview with her, it was done by, I'll think of the name of the magazine. I can't remember. I think it was Fortune. And the whole interview is just like, you're watching this and it's like, how is this person even like talking? How do they function on this idea that I'm the only woman who's done anything in Hollywood, and there's no women in Hollywood, and I went to Saturday Night Live screening and I didn't see any women in the crew, and and all this other stuff. And it's like, wait a minute. What world do you live in? Otherwise, if this is the case, then obviously it needs to be changed, and that's what they're doing. But that doesn't mean you need to make it everybody else's fault. And that's the problem here. And that's what Mecca's getting to. That's what Andy Trecker's getting to. And to an extent, Matt, you were talking about the actors themselves, but it's not just them. It's everybody else. They got to make it our fault that shit's fucked up. Like, even, if you read into these articles, like the Galaxy's Edge one that we just had, it's our fault for assuming this or that or the other, not going to the parks. It's not because Disney could have fucked up. It's the fans' fault that there's problems with the movies. It's not Ryan Johnson's fault. It's not Kathleen Kennedy. They will never blame themselves. So as much as we want to sit here and say they're the ones that fucked up, and just like you said, Matt, back in the day, Kathleen Kennedy's not going to get fired. And we were saying kind of the same thing, because for the same damn reasons, these people are so engrossed in their own bullshit that all that matters at the end of the day is that the movie made fucking money. They can turn off the faucet of the whining fans and not listen to them and just chalk it off as whining, bigots and racists and misogynists, because that's what they deal with on a daily basis anyway. That's not the way the real world works. That's the problem, though. The rest of the world has moved on past this, this world that Hollywood still lives in, and DC to an extent, and I'm sure Wall Street to an extent still lives in. The rest of the world has already gone past that. We know it's not right to grab chicks' ass at work. You know what I mean? I don't know anybody who ever had to give a blowjob to get a job, where anywhere I've worked. These are not normal things in a normal daily basis. So the fact that Hollywood has to pretend that the rest of the world is like this is inherent to the problem at hand. The whole Me Too movement, the whole Time's Up movement, all of this shit is stuff that we dealt with 20 fucking years ago.
And the crickets begin.
Well, nobody else has anything to say. Go ahead. That's where I'm at with this thing. Is it's just getting sickening to the point where, I mean, they need to tell and preach to us. And you're right. And that's exactly what Kathleen Kennedy is doing. And she thinks it's her fucking job to do it, basically.
Right.
That's the problem.
The problem is that they can't see. So they can't see outside of their own bubble, and so they think that the rest of the world is as screwed up as Hollywood is, and so they gotta fix it for us.
Yeah, well, when you like I said, when you're raised in a family where things are screwed up, you think that's normal. And like I said, that's their world. That's the world they live in. Oh, what? You mean it's not like this everywhere? Oh my God.
I will say that you reach a certain point in Hollywood where everyone around you just feeds your ego, tell you how great you are, how brilliant you are. And at a certain point, you kind of buy into your own BS. And that's where a lot of these people at the very top of the Hollywood food chain are, where they do believe they're the smartest people in the room, the most talented people, and that they're better than most other people. And so when they reach that level, they kind of feel like it's their responsibility to tell people how to think and what to do. And to them, it's just natural because that's the world that they live in. But to the rest of the world, it just comes off as preachy or pretentious or what have you. But there is like to those of you who haven't lived or worked in the Hollywood industry, it is a different world. It's like when you're in it, you don't see reality the way that it really is. It becomes warped. And I was in that bubble for a while. And so like I know what it's like. And it can be scary. It can be really scary. And there's a lot of abuse going on in Hollywood that is not widely publicized. When the Harvey Weinstein stuff broke, I was like, finally, I knew about that like 10 years prior. It was a very open secret when I was working in Hollywood, but it was just accepted because, Harvey Weinstein wasn't the only person who was doing that. And a lot of these people who are female or gay and work in Hollywood have been taken advantage of in terrible ways. And so they harbor this resentment and this anger, but they would suppress it for the sake of their careers. And so when Weinstein finally kind of got what was coming to him, a lot of these people finally let loose because they felt like their careers would be safe if they came forward. And that was the big difference there with Weinstein and the Me Too movement, stuff like that, is because a lot of these people have been terribly mistreated, no matter how successful or rich they are. A lot of them have been exploited to get to where they're at. And so I think that a lot of this kind of, animosity towards white men, hetero men, what have you, it stems from that type of abuse that they suffered on their road to success. So that's just my take on it.
We suffer from the death threats from the Brie Larson fans, because see, I really feel the same resentment. I can kind of see where you're coming from because I also feel like we need to put a stop to bitchy cunt-faced blonde actresses who talk down to us, and as while we're exploiting them for clicks on the internet. So can we do something to put a stop to people like Brie Larson?
I don't know what you do not becoming fans of theirs and making their movies a success. So
the one $4.99 super chat from the one. Yep. These Hollywood degenerate type trying to tell us how to live, the hypocrisy. And but again, this, like I said, this went way off topic. But at the same time, it all kind of feeds back back to each other. This whole thing, like I said, it just smacks of painting with a very broad brush. It really does.
Right.
Well, yeah, why don't we finish your idea and then we'll move into the next topic because
it just, like I said, it just smacks of painting with a very, very broad brush. That, oh well, because I'm experienced it, then everybody else must have experienced it too, and then I have to right this wrong. And like I said, as Gary said, Hollywood is a city built on cocaine, hookers, and dead bodies. I mean, really, these are the people we were gonna have tell us how to live properly. And someone like Brie Larson, she was She wasn't wealthy. She didn't have to worry about missing a yeah. She didn't have to miss, but she didn't have to worry about missing a shift at Burger King to go on an audition. You know, she was a failed pop star. She was a failed model. And Kathleen Kennedy was like I said, she had every success imaginable.
Failed actress.
Yeah, failed actress. That's right. That's right. We can't forget that part. And Kathleen Kennedy's lived a charmed life. Instead of recognizing she's lived a charmed life, she wants to preach how rough she had and how rough she thinks, and how she wants to correct all the wrongs. Like, no. You know, like Michael Jackson said, start with the man in the mirror, man. Come on.
It kind of brings us back to a point we always make about Star Trek, and it works here too. I think Hollywood forgot that they were already ahead of the curve years and years and years ago. Like, look at the facts. I mean, look at the time in the 60s when you had, Star Trek, for example, that had the first interracial kiss on television. You had guys like Sidney Poitier who were, very well regarded. And, this was all happening at a time where there was a lot of segregation still in America. There was, areas where it was illegal to get married to somebody outside of your race, or, so there was a time when Hollywood already had addressed some of this stuff. Why are they going back to the well? Oh, that's what they do. I don't know. We do have a super chat though, from Mr. Abu Nas, a good friend of the channel. How you doing there, sir? Oops, right off.
Abu Nas. This has been a very excellent show thus far. Love the different views and the passion you guys are showing behind it. Salute and respect all of you. Thank you, Abu Nas. Always great to have you.
Don't expect to see. We try to get as many different points of view as we can. We don't like it to be an echo chamber in here. I mean, that's not going to get us anywhere. And that leads us right in, I think, better to our next story here. Speaking of, now, I know everybody here is pretty much a fan of Doomcock. Some people have different opinions on some of the things he says and does, but hey, we're all, human in that respect. This, on the other hand, is a blatant misuse of journalism. And I put journalism in quotations here, folks, because this is just fucking insane. And honestly, I mean, I know Doomcock's technically a character, but if there's any legal way that the Overlord...
Yeah, hateful YouTuber. Yeah, he should be suing this guy. Click on the picture of the guy. Click on the picture of little Chris
I don't really want to give him any fucking attention at this point, other than the fact that this hit piece is just disgusting.
Well, no, I love laughing at his little stupid face. Because he's exactly what Ethan draws. The soy drawing.
All right, but the point is, we'll take a look at it in a bit. I put a pin in it for here. I opened it in another tab. All right. We got to go over this first, because no matter how you feel about Doomcock, no matter what you feel about what he reports, no matter whether you believe it or not, whether you even like it as a personality, the type of claims that are made in this article are insane.
Mm-hmm.
You can listen to Doomcock for more than 10, 15 minutes to know that all this shit is bullshit. Okay, let's start this. I'm going to read this real quick as fast as possible, because it's just disgusting. Whoa, goodness. A nasty room. Yeah, that wasn't Sadie. Sadie sounds a lot louder and deeper than that. A nasty rumor about Brie Larson and the future of Captain Marvel in the Marvel Cinematic Universe began circulating over the weekend, claiming Disney has lost confidence in actress in Captain Marvel 2 is in jeopardy. But these unconfirmed reports feel like a fabrication by what we might as well call the white nationalist fringe of the entertainment news industry. Now, up until that last fucking comment there, I didn't have a problem with this. Because sure, there is no unsubstantiated, there's no real reason to believe at this point, unless Disney says something flat out other than speculation or rumor, that they have lost any confidence in Brie Larson or Captain Marvel. Now, that could be up for debate, but there's no proof anywhere of that. Okay, that's fine until this white nationalist fringe of the entertainment news industry popped up. Okay, that's some pretty...
How do they know know he's white. Nobody knows what he looks like.
You don't know. Doomcock could be African American, black, whatever, or he could even be Chinese. For all we know,
different from the guy you see in the mask. He might look completely different. That's just such bullshit attacks with no substantiation. I said the guy was jealous because he wouldn't be able to think of something so clever.
I'm jealous. I can't think of anything more clever.
Right, but anyway, point is, this is the part right here that really bothers me. Okay, and this is reckless journalism at its finest. Okay, on Saturday, September 21st, we got. Go ahead, Rob.
It's potentially libelous, is what it is.
Well, that's where I was saying I don't know if Doomcock has anything to stand on since he's technically a character, but we'll dive into this so we can get this out of the way and then we can talk about it. On Saturday, September 21st, we got this covered, wrote about a Cosmic Book News article reporting that Disney has lost confidence in Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, and somehow the Disney-Sony split over Spider-Man has exacerbated the situation. While it's true that Captain Marvel 2 does not have a firm place in the MCU's timeline yet, so right here, she admits that, or he admits, sorry, not a she, writes like a she, I'm sorry. I thought this was a she originally. That's where I didn't see the name. Somebody said it was a girl who wrote this article, so that was my
well, I mean, he doesn't have a pair of balls, so might as well be.
Okay, to be fair, but no, when this article was brought to me, I didn't know to look at the name or anything or even think about that. Somebody told me it was a she that wrote it, so that was why I said that. Anyway, while it's true that Captain Marvel 2 does not have a firm place in the MCU timeline, there's no reason to assume it won't be included as part of Phase 5, as Kevin Feige stated back at San Diego Comic-Con. That's also true, so 1 and 1. Okay, whatever. This exciting, controversial piece of entertainment industry news probably makes a lot of Disney Marvel critics very happy, particularly the ones who review-bombed Captain Marvel. We're still going with that notion. With an eloquent analysis like the one person who referred to it as an SJW-laden, white male-hating, worthless POS movie. And that was before the movie came out. Now let's go back to this review bomb thing real quick. If we're to believe that there was a review bomb, then that means there was a bunch of people who didn't see the movie who gave it negative reviews. So which is it? Either a bunch of people went to see the movie or a bunch of people didn't go see the movie. Make up your minds. Okay, because it made over $1 billion. Both narratives don't work. Either a bunch of people who saw the movie didn't like it, or there's a bunch of fake people out there who didn't see the movie that fake review bombed it. You need to make up your minds. And the movie was actually not that successful. So we know the truth anyway. But before simply turning these rumors into content, we should be investigating where they came from. That is not necessarily bad.
That's not a bad thing.
No, we do. We try to always, I mean, this show's a little bit more off the cuff. That's a little different. But in our videos and reporting, obviously, we do our homework, or we would not still be here. When we do, it becomes clear that the story was fabricated by someone looking to influence public opinion rather than a report on something that was remotely true. Okay, I guess that's up for debate. The Captain Marvel 2 rumor originates from the Overlord DVD YouTube channel, our good friend Victor Van Doomcock. Its host claims their inside source said Disney deemed Brie Larson a little stiff and a bit unlikable in her portrayal of Carol Danvers in Captain Marvel and Avengers Endgame.
My God, language.
The language here already has a concerning tone of misogyny to it.
Wait. A little stiff and a bit unlikable is misogynist?
In what way?
That's nothing to do with her gender.
Unless he's talking about his cock in the
exactly.
Or a bit unlikable after you say you had sex with her or something like that, then I don't see where that's misogynist in any way, because it's not referring to it in a sexual way in any way, shape, or form. It's referring to her as an actress. So again, a little bit on the what the fuck side. Marvel was allegedly counting on pairing her up with Spider-Man in order to humanize and balance her out a bit. Supposedly, the plan was to have her team up with Peter Parker in some capacity. This part actually sort of makes sense after the Far From Home post-credits. But beyond that, this quickly veers into total fantasy. The video claims that Carol Danvers would be little Spidey to prop herself up. That's probably more of Doomcock's opinion in that capacity, but there is a bit of the deal in Endgame where they kind of set up a little wink between her and him. And if there's going to be some way to make her likable, bringing those two together probably would be a bad idea, and that's what they even kind of admit here. So that's kind of a hand-washing situation. The video claims that Carol Danvers would be we already read that, sorry. The host even cites the specific plot point as the reason Sony pulled Spidey out of the MCU. Sony didn't want their biggest asset as the butt of the joke. I don't think that's true. I'll say that right now, but that has nothing to do with this. Why would anyone trust this rumor? They shouldn't also. Okay, whatever. That's fair. This major scoop from an inside source feels like pure BS, and Overlord DVD's channel is just like Marvel version of Mike Zero. Okay, to this point, outside of that white thing and the misogyny, there's nothing really that wrong with this article, okay? They're being critical of Doomcock. They have a right to be.
Right.
Zero regularly posts YouTube videos about fake rumors and leaks related to Star Wars movies just to rack up views for unsuspecting fans. That also is something that could arguably be debated and is within their right to believe in this article. So we're not going to dwell on that. Somehow this Overload guy is even less trustworthy. Again, another thing that could be up for debate, and we're not going to argue because it's their opinion again. Nothing wrong with that. The host of Overlord DVD dubs himself Dictor Van Doomcox, hence the DVD, who is the future ruler of Earth. According to his bio, DVD is a supervillain and pop culture critic. He wears a Dr. Doom knockoff helmet, speaks like he's doing a Darth Vader impression, and wears a robe that looks like he bought it from a Time Lord 50 years ago. Okay, so in other words, you really have no reason to take him seriously, right? If you don't want to take him seriously, then fucking don't.
This is kind of reminding me of people that went, and there were some serious people that would go after Jon Stewart when he was hosting the Daily Show about how irresponsible he was with his news coverage. And he's like, have you even watched the show? Doomcock, I love Doomcock's persona, his videos, like that picture you have right there. Love it. I eat it up, but I also take it for what it is. He is entertainment.
Exactly.
And so
it's not meant to be. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Mecca.
No, that's what they say about a lot of the channels. Like I always I'll kind of use my own experience here to kind of pull off of people. I was like, oh, fake news. Well, I said it's a rumor. We're talking about what I think about the rumor, you dumbass. Like, what did you expect? He says right there in his video, it's a rumor. We're gonna talk about the rumor. What part of it's a rumor, and we're just gonna have fun with it? Why are
Mecca, you cut out there. But anyway, I think, what Mecca's getting to, and even Mecca to a lesser extent than Doomcock, when she does her videos, except for like when she's on here and she's getting more serious 9 times out of 10, she too is kind of putting on the same kind of a thing like Doomcock. It's entertainment, talk about it, just have fun with it. It's not meant to be taken seriously. I'm not reporting the news. I'm not CNN. I'm not, your nightly news. I'm just having fun. Are you back yet, guys?
Yeah, we're back. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, no, you're fine. You cut out there.
Where did I cut off?
I think I kind of finished your point. I think where you getting to, but go ahead and say.
We're just entertainment. We're telling you our opinion of the rumors. Why do they have a problem with that? Why do they have a stick up their ass about us telling them what they think or what we think about the rumors as YouTubers? They always go, "Ooh, fake news." Do I have CNN tattooed on my ass or something? Why are you coming to me for news? Are you stupid or something? Like, this is not. We're entertainers. We're YouTubers. We tell you what we think, and sometimes we actually uncover stuff. Sometimes we go by, well, hey, we found all these things. What do you think this means? And that's all we ever do, which is what journalism used to be, actually. But
editorial journalism. But anyway.
Yeah. I would dare say that a lot of what I see on YouTube, because let's be real, 99.9% of YouTubers, at least the good ones, are all amateurs, right? We're not professional journalists. We are people that like to speak our mind and have a good time doing it. But what and who is criticizing us? These people that throw these articles with bad punctuation and misspelt words and bad grammar onto no-name websites that nobody gives a crap about.
Like Inverse. But yeah, let me finish this because I'm sure Matt also has a lot to say about this since he is actually a journalist. So Overlord's co-host is a small plush doll Cthulhu with an even more annoying voice. The entire thing looks like a dumpster fire, and that's before he even starts talking.
The wonderful day to push a button, TM.
I have a good lawyer.
Everybody's doing their Harvey imitation now.
Yes, right. Anyway, no, right here, they're already showing they're biased. Okay, you don't like it. Great. That's fine. That's good. We've been saying that from the start. You have a right to say you don't like it. And here we go. This is the most important bit right here. Who actually trusts this guy for entertainment news? Okay, then why are you making such a big fuss about it? He once wondered if Ryan Johnson was ruined back in August 2018. Just a few days ago, he publicly used the C word to describe Johnson in a tweet. Oh my goodness. He even tried to spread a rumor that Ryan Johnson was losing his upcoming Star Wars trilogy based on absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. No, not nothing at all. Anyway, I'm not getting into that.
Maybe the fact that Disney put a hold on all future films.
And not only that, he's the only one who's never mentioned in name by Bob Iger. But anyway, Overlord raged at Lando Calrissian being confirmed as pansexual in Solo. So did a lot of other people, calling it SJW news. So did we. So what? He once called Black Panther a thickening pile of bullshit. And because it was crafted as a crusade and a political litmus test, he also claimed that Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy committed a crime against humanity by perceiving Star Wars as a delivery system for her feminist. Well, we just spent the last fucking hour talking about this exact fucking thing. So there must be something to that at least. But regardless, the crime against humanity thing, come on, it's fucking Doomcock. That's what he says. It's not to be taken literally. Say what you will about Brie Larson.
Entertaining phrase, you know, he does that because he's writing these things out, he's scripting them out, and he's an entertainer, which maybe Hollywood should take a few lessons from, you know, some of us, and actually know what the crap people actually want to watch.
Okay, but I really want to get through this now. So anyway, say what you will about Captain Marvel, blah, blah, blah. Language used by Overlord is rooted in the hate speech of the same misogynist who call Rey a Mary Sue. These are the same people who bombed Black Panther. I don't remember that other than people claiming they were going to, but nobody did. Captain Marvel and The Last Jedi. They're still hanging on to that bullshit, huh? For presenting non-white male heroes to the main... Whatever. The vast majority of these videos are harsh reactions to progressive entertainment franchises. His opinions are overwhelmingly anti-Disney and pro-Warner Brothers. So...
I don't mean to cut you off, but the author of this article just freaking nailed it as far as what's going on. They just said that the vast majority of these videos are harsh reactions to progressive entertainment franchises. That is our complaint, that these are becoming progressive entertainment franchises. Star Wars is not supposed to be progressive, conservative, liberal, whatever you want to call yourself. That's not Star Wars. Star Wars is freaking good guys versus bad guys, space wizards and laser swords. It is not about politics.
And daddy issues. Sorry,
I didn't.
No, I just had to add the and daddy issues in there.
Yeah.
But yes, no, I want to get through this anyway. The vast majority of the videos are harsh reactions to progressive. Okay, we already got that. They also make it clear that he's a defensive white male. When news broke that Henry Cavill would no longer be Superman, and reports came out that Warner was considering Michael B. Jordan for the role, DVD called it a fucking disgrace. So did a lot of other people, and it had nothing to do with Michael B. Jordan. Right. Matt Miller wrote an article for Esquire in December 2018 calling Overlord and his followers out for being the toxic fandom that tried to ruin Star Wars and and to a surge in the online harassment for Miller.
Yeah, they always leave us out. They always leave like women out. They always leave people like Fatal J out. They always leave the actual diverse fandom menace out because they're so racist and sexist against and anti-LGBT as well. Because people like me, I'm an alphabet person. And they just don't take us seriously. Like it's like we don't exist.
If am I an alphabet person if one of those letters is A for asshole? No,
Yeah.
we dropped it. Okay, good.
Anyway, no. To get back to this, but just to go off of something what Matt was just saying earlier, with the whole thing with Rose Tico, her article was something we pointed out. The whole reason she said she left Twitter had nothing to do with being attacked on Twitter. It had to do with everything she said that Matt was pointing out about Hollywood,
right?
And how actresses are treated. So anyway, and even Mecca remembers that, I'm sure. But
well, she was more right. Like, it wasn't so much Hollywood. It was that she actually was saying that she was this special little snowflake and not, I deserve better than a manicurist job or doing somebody's nails. No, you don't. You're not a fucking leading lady. Put on your potato sack and shut up.
She was told that she wasn't living up to the Hollywood standard. And it had nothing, she didn't once mention anything about any potato
sack. Right.
What was that, Rob?
He said then stop putting her in a potato sack.
Oh, well. Anyway, let's finish this so I can get through this. Dictor Van Doomcock might be the foolish king of an internet hate mob. Oh, really? Sure. Okay.
I thought Jeremy was last they said. They keep who is it? They can't even decide amongst themselves. Sometimes it's Ethan. Sometimes
is it Jeremy? Is it Ethan? Is it Dictor Van Doomcock? Yeah, who is the leader? Who's the leader? But he's also so cowardly he won't even reveal his face. It's a character. He's a racist, sexist bigot, and he wears it on his sleeve. Oh, does he?
That's absolutely not true. That is 1,000% not true.
The only thing worse than being this guy is spreading his hateful rumors as possible legitimate news. Now that you could have cut all this other shit out and cut to this and got to your point.
Right.
That is a valid point.
Well, you had a word minimum, probably.
Yeah. So commit libel in the process. Fuck it. Right? Overlord is not a journalist. Okay, you just said it yourself. Or he's not a journalist. Okay? And he clearly does not report the objective truth. That's debatable, of course. Like, it's rumors. He said that, okay?
He operates his opinion on a YouTube channel.
Yeah. He operates as a character, no less. He operates as a specific hateful agenda that a lot of people seem to agree with. He may have over 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, but that doesn't make him right. It just means he has a large audience even when he shouldn't. Oh.
Yeah, but between all of us, I mean, a couple 100,000 on Geeks and Gamers, 100,000 on Ethan, 100,000 on World Class, 100,000 on Rod, 100,000 Star Wars girls. That Star Wars girl. That's all of us, though. We all have kind of the same, we're tired of this crap message. It's not hateful. I don't know where these idiots are coming from. How do they understand that that's hatefulness and not the shit that they're spewing? Calling somebody, white nationalist.
Because in the modern world, disagreement equals hate.
Yeah, there's that aspect of it. But don't you see what they're doing? This so-called journalist is doing here, Mecca, basically turning our argument against us. The agenda part of it. Though they're saying our agenda is a hateful one that specifically works on big.
Theirs is anti-male. Theirs is anti-white male.
It's the typical turnabout, turncoat bullshit. And this is the puncher of it, and then I'll let everybody unload, because I'm sure Matt's waiting to unload. Captain Marvel 2, starring Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, will probably.
Nah.
Probably.
Oh, give me a fucking date.
Maybe. Be released sometime in 2022 or 2023.
Who cares? No plans for it. It's not on the plate. It's on the schedule.
Oh my fucking God.
What is the point of that last line?
Just to try and make themselves sound right, and all it did was make themselves sound stupid. Sure. All right, now, Matt, I'm going to let you have the table first, because I know as a journalist you have a lot to say about this. I know you have an opinion on Doomcock. I know you like his content, but you also have a strong opinion on some of the stuff that he puts out there as rumors and talks about. So let's go with you first, and then we'll let everybody else unload.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm not a journalist.
You've written articles, so you technically are.
I'm an entertainer. I'm a novelist. I'm a writer. I'm a commentator.
Okay, well, you did that hella fucking huge fucking Star Trek. I would call you a journalist just for that, sir.
Thank you. Well, so first of all, I want to say that I am a big fan of Doomcock. I'm a patron of his. I have an autographed, signed, framed picture of him in my office. I enjoy the guy. I think Doomcock is at his best when he is commentating. Like his reviews of individual Star Trek Discovery episodes are some of the most insightful reviews you'll find of that show anywhere on the internet. Like he really understands story. He breaks down why the show isn't good. He's very insightful. He's a very insightful critic. The issue with Doomcock, and the reason that I am not a big fan of these rumor reporting things that he does and other YouTubers seem to like to do, is that first of all, the source that he gets his rumors from is just blatantly, obviously bad. This source is never right. They always seem to be the most sensational yet easily disprovable rumors possible, that even though Doomcock is responsible enough to say that these are rumors, he comments on them in a way that can easily mislead viewers to think that these rumors are legit. And he's done this a lot with the Picard series. He's done this a lot with Star Trek Discovery stuff. And I'm not saying that his take on this stuff is wrong, because I think he makes a lot of good points. But the fact that he elevates these ridiculous, easily disprovable rumors to a level where people will actually latch onto them, believe them, and spread them around hurts our cause for trying to communicate to Hollywood that we don't like these politics in our entertainment, that we want good stories as opposed to bad stories that are told by people with the right politics for Hollywood and all this stuff. So I think that this article in particular, it's terrible because it's not accurate. It's not an accurate depiction of who Doomcock is at all. But at the same time, it's kind of Doomcock's fault for presenting these unnamed sources of his as being legitimate to a certain extent. And I think that if he were to just come out and comment and rant without trying to lend credibility to it from like an unnamed source, that these videos would actually be more credible than trying to pass them off as like, oh, from my very well, inside source who knows this stuff and has been proven right before, this is what, I'm hearing, and this is what I think about it. I feel like that just gives the opposition ammunition to not only debunk him, but also attack him and the people who like him. And so I would prefer if he just straight up did commentary as opposed to trying to pass himself off as a news source. And that's just my opinion on it.
All right. Well, yeah, because that part we've already kind of said that's not up for debate. And I know that's a personal perception and people can believe or disbelieve. And I agree. There's times where I've even told him, hey, don't go running with this, or I've had to correct him on certain things. And that happens from time to time. But Doomcock's not one of those who's out there to do, journalism. That's not his thing. He's even said that. But that's where I've told him, well, then don't do so much of that stuff. But that's neither here nor there. That has very little to do with what this article is doing. If, like I said, if they'd have left it to just being a review of Doomcock's channel and his reporting, that would be fine. But the fact that he not only calls Doomcock these very serious things and lumps a bunch of other channels, us included, in with that.
Here is that modern journalism, if they don't like your take on something, it's not that they try to debunk you, it's that they try to personally attack you and ruin your reputation. And it's kind of Trump derangement syndrome era of like anyone who has a dissenting opinion that even goes slightly against the grain is automatically, it's not just someone you disagree with, it's someone who's evil inherently. And this is one of the reasons why news is getting such bad rap. Now, the flip side of this is this article even quotes, we got this covered in Cosmic Book News, which are just the most clickbaity, fly by night, new quote unquote news sources. So they're just as bad. It's very hard to actually find, real information in this, network of people who are competing for views and ad clicks based off of outrage culture. You know, who can have the most sensational headline? Who can piss off enough people to make something go viral so they can get those ad clicks? It's all as a syndrome of a much larger problem, which is the fact that news media is now driven by, you know, who can create the most controversy to get people to visit their web page. And I think this is a perfect example of that, where it's obvious that whoever wrote this article is basically trying to vilify Doomcock in order to create this controversy so that this article gets talked about and gets passed around. And, you know, like among Doomcock's 50,000 followers on YouTube, they're like, oh, that's a guaranteed 50,000 views to this article, you know? So, I mean, it's just, it's trash. It's what it is.
Right. It's something to start some YouTube beef or beef with a YouTuber or somebody like that. It's another thing to make these salacious accusations. That's the part that bothers me. And I think that's the part that needs to be the main focal point.
We've all talked with Doomcock on a personal level. He's a good guy. He's not a white supremacist.
Bullshit. This is pure bullshit.
He's a decent human being. He just happens to not like terribly written stories and actresses who are full of themselves. You know, like I think a lot of us can relate to that. And I think that, you know, there are so many authors or reporters out there that are so worried about ingratiating themselves to Disney, because if they piss off Disney by reporting the truth, it could hurt their career prospect, the road. They're shills basically. And so when they come out with articles like this, this is like career security for them. Like if they ever audition for a position in lucasfilm updating articles on the website, they can point to this and be like, see, I've been a long time supporter of you guys, hire me, you know. And it's just, it's trash. There is no integrity in the journalism world anymore.
Yeah.
But, like,
Go ahead, Rob.
but why is, but yeah, like I said, they ingratiate themselves to Disney. Christian Harloff. But anyway, I mean, other sites go with unnamed sources all the time. I mean, why? Reporter, Screen Rant. I mean, why Doom? Well, because Doomcock is the biggest fish. That's the thing. It seems like he's the biggest. He's the biggest fish. And this guy reminds me of all those little skinny white dudes in the mid '90s who used to go to Lilith Fair and try to pick up all these like feminist chicks. Yeah, I really love Annie DeFranco. It makes me feel in touch with my feminine side. Like, bullshit. You're just trying to scam on some girl. Well, that's all this really seems like. I mean, to that point, you're right, Matt. But you know, you got, if you're going to have, let's call a spade. You go after Doomcock. You got to go out now. You have to go after every other person who goes after unnamed sources.
It's not just unnamed sources. Well, it's not just unnamed sources though. Like the rumors that Doomcock cites from his source are so easily debunkable that they hold no merit. And I've even asked him. I'm like, you know, do you really trust this source? Because this doesn't ring true to me. And he's like, oh yeah, this guy he's well placed. He knows what he's talking about. I'm like, I don't think he does. And I think that Nerdrotics even used this source a couple times, and he's always proven to be 100% complete, full of BS. Okay,
well, yeah.
I don't know why you're agreeing with this guy. You know?
Man, I totally understand where you're coming from. And like I said that this is all debatable, and you could, you know, go on about that shit in the article all day long. And there would be nothing wrong with this article if that was what it was all about. My problem with this is, and I think even Rob kind of overlooked here, is that the accusations put towards Doomcock himself and also put towards our Fandom Menace community as a whole are some pretty salacious fucking accusations. I mean, we have women that are part of the Fandom Menace. Mecca herself is LGBTQ. Fucking, we've got tons and tons of people that are not white. So come on, this is horse shit. These kind of accusations, these kind of stories are the problem on the other side. Is they go after people personally over a fucking TV show, over a fucking movie, over something that has nothing to do with anything. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the other thing. He's like flat out saying, okay, yeah, it's flat out saying it's a rumor. You know, it's you know, that's who the fuck is just believing that flat out, like for sure. He's saying it's a rumor, you know, whether his sources are bullshit or not, it's a rumor. You know, I could make something up and pull it out of my ass and say something's a rumor, you know, because the fart told me. It doesn't matter if his sources are bullshit or not. It doesn't matter if he's making shit up or not. He's entertaining us with what he's saying, and he's saying, yes, this is a rumor. This isn't fact. This is what I think about this rumor.
But that's not even
so picking on his little sources.
Yeah,
All I got,
not even the
all I
point.
got,
It is
all I got,
he's not a fucking racist. He's not a bigot. He's definitely not a sexist because he loves women. You know that, Mecca. So he's none of these fucking things that anything that this person or anybody else against the Phantom Menace is trying to say about any of us, especially Doomcock, and it's just horse shit.
could swap out Doomcock's name in that article and put Young Ripa's name in there. I dare him. I dare him.
Put Mecca's name in there.
Yeah. Oh, they wouldn't, because I'm a woman. And I would call them out for it. But no, because every time they do, I call them out for it on their bullshit.
Ruthie, Anna, that Star Wars girl, anybody. We're all doing the same thing. It's just that Doomcock is an easy target.
Yeah.
Because it's not. He's a faceless. It's a faceless person. It's easier to go out. It's easier to hate somebody when they're the faceless enemy.
It's because they're scared. They're scared of Doom. It's because they're scared of the Phantom Menace as a whole, because they see it as, oh, it's not just that loud minority anymore. Solo fucking bombed for no other reason than The Last Jedi turned off the entire Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
And I've come to a point where this kind of attacks on people personally is enough, because the people on the other side of this argument act like they're high and fucking mighty, like they're better than everybody else, but yet they go after somebody over Star Trek, or they go after somebody over Star Wars, or they go after somebody over Marvel, or they go after somebody over DC, or they go after somebody over whatever fucking franchise you want to put in here, and they throw these exact accusations that they threw at Doomcock in an article personally at people, and it gets so fucking sickening, and it's disgusting, because this is the problem with people. They've turned a political movement into our entertainment. That's the problem we've been saying from time and time again. Now, Andy Trekker, you've been really quiet through this. I'm sure you have a few things to say.
Well, honestly, you guys have covered most of it, but you know, the simple fact is there are millions of YouTube channels all vying to get people to watch their channels. We all do whatever shtick we can come up with to try and get people to watch our views. Doomcock came up with a really clever idea of being an evil overlord at the center of the earth and all that. I love what he's done with his channel. And yes, I kind of, and I know that, people that I love, people that I care about do this all the time. But yes, citing the unnamed source thing, which, obviously Doomcock has done, Nerdrotic has done, Gary, of course, I think he's in the chat right now. He's a great guy, and he knows I love him. Mecca's done it a few times. Love her. Midnight's Edge has done it a few times. Love you guys.
Prove it.
But but here's the thing. When you use the unnamed source, you're not doing anything that every other journalist hasn't done a million times. I mean, how many times do you turn on the news and they say unnamed sources, the White House say whatever. But I personally don't go there. I will not go there. I've had people offer me information a couple of times, but it's like, look, if I can't verify, I'm not running with it, because this kind of attack is simply based on the fact that Doomcock says, I have a source. Yes, he says, as he should, that this is a rumor. You guys have done that. Gary has done that. Everybody I know that uses unknown sources almost always in their videos says, treat this as a rumor. And that's a good thing. But the reason you say you have an unnamed source is to give it credibility. It is to make the people believe that this is true. Regardless of whether or not you say, don't forget this is a rumor, you're still also saying that someone on the inside gave me this information, so it's probably true. And so that you run into this kind of catch-22. If you're going to say that, then you open yourself up to this kind of attack. And the
one part of it's fine. It's the other part that I don't like. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, as far as the whole accusing Doomcock of misogyny and stuff like that, this writer is completely off the freaking chain. I mean, there's no excuse for that, and it's clear
all credibility altogether. That's
right. If you listen to, and that's the problem that we have, not just in this particular case, but and in the Fandom Menace, or even in YouTube, it's society as a whole. Our global society has become so polarized that we absolutely cannot listen to what the other person has to say. We have to come up with a reason that whatever they have to say is invalid, whether it's because they're a sexist, whether it's because they're a racist, whether it's because they're a homophobe. And on the flip side, whether it's because they're a tree hugger, whether it's because they're a communist, whether it's because they're a socialist or whatever. We come up with an excuse to simply out of hand reject what the other person has to say rather than engage in genuine conversation and debate, discussion and argument. Those things are great. The fact that Mecca and Matthew were almost ready to go at each other's throats earlier in this live stream, I love that fact. I love the fact that Mecca and Matt can have a sincere and honest disagreement on something, but we are all still friends because we're having a conversation. That's okay. It's okay to disagree. Disagreement is not hate.
And guess what? You can turn it off. Like Dave Chappelle says, you clicked on my face. You don't have to click on Doomcock's face.
And of course, as much as I might disagree with somebody, I'm not going to call him I would never call Matt a sexist or a racist or a misogynist or any of that. I just might disagree with his opinions or something. It might, and it's not you can.
Well, I'd imagine you would say that, Mecca, if Matt said something like "women are awful," but that's
he's not out there. He's not out there going, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about just because you're a woman."
Right?
No, Matt, something like that. Not only would I boot him off the fucking show, obviously, but then that's sexist. Obviously, I have never heard Doomcock say anything remotely like that, or anybody else in the Menace for that matter.
Here's the thing: this is what happens a lot of times. Is let's take it to a slightly less controversial subject like abortion, because that's low. But here's the thing: you have two sides in the fight, right? The pro-choice and the pro-life. The problem is that neither side is willing to listen to the arguments of the other. Instead, they say, the pro-choice people say they're anti-choice. They hate women. They don't, then the pro-life people are sitting there saying they're all for, abortion. They hate babies. They want to kill people. And so they're not listening to each other. They don't care what the other person has to say. So what this author is doing in this article is they hear something like Doomcock saying, and correctly so, saying, well, Ray is a Mary Sue, right? Or, these characters are horrible. And then they say, oh, well, that must mean he hates women because Mary Sue, we all know Mary Sue is a misogynist term. No, Mary Sue is a term that describes an artificially perfect character. It doesn't, it's not a sexist term in and of itself. You can call a male character a Mary Sue, or if you prefer the Gary Stu thing, which I don't, I call any character like that a Mary Sue, male or female. But the whole, they don't hear that. They hear is Mary Sue, Brie Larson said Mary Sue is sexist, therefore this guy's a sexist.
Just real quick, $2 for Mr. Fatal Day. He says Zack Snyder equals life. I don't agree with him, but I love the man, so that's all I can say.
Life, my friend.
All right, sorry about that. I didn't mean to derail things there, but no, you're totally right, Annie Trekker, in a lot of things you're saying, and I totally agree with a lot of things you're saying. And we've had an interesting conversation about this. We do have a bit of breaking news. If anybody. We are 2 hours in, so if anybody on the panel does have to duck out, please let me know now, and we can plug your channels and do all that kind of stuff. We all good?
Want to hear what the breaking news is before I duck out.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we have breaking news, but if you need to go ahead.
I gotta pee, but I gotta know. I gotta know. Well, we know that Sony's even more full of shit. Kevin Feige ain't fucking busy. Well, he is now. He is going to be developing a new Star Wars movie for Disney, exclusive. Well, as Rob says,
Holy shit.
not to be on the ball there, not anymore. Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy is pursuing a new era in Star Wars storytelling. Who the fuck said it? Kevin Feige's gonna get in Star Wars. I told you, motherfuckers.
What
Anyway.
about Ryan Johnson? Where'd he go? What's he gonna do?
Oh, don't worry.
The
Ryan Johnson is working on Avengers Femininity War.
He's working on crying into his fucking cereal at this moment. Anyway, Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy is pursuing a new era in Star Wars storytelling. And knowing what a diehard fan Kevin is, it made sense for these two extraordinary producers to work on a Star Wars film together. Walt Disney Studios co-chairman Alan Horn tells The Hollywood Reporter. So this is coming from Alan Horn himself, folks. To the surprise of no one, Kevin Feige is a huge Star Wars fan. It might surprise many, however, that the Marvel Studios chief is going to be developing a Star Wars movie as Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy makes new plans for a wave of projects set in the universe. The Hollywood Reporter has learned. Feige had discussed a foray into the Star Wars universe in the late summer meeting with Kennedy and studio co-chairman Alan Horn and Alan Bergman, sources say. In response to a query from the reporter, Walt Disney Studios chairman and chief, let me finish this real quick and then you can jump in, Rob. And Chief Creator Officer Horn said, "We are excited about the projects Kathy and Lucasfilm team are working on, not only in terms of Star Wars, but also Indiana Jones." There you go, Rob.
Oh.
And reaching into other parts of the company, including Children of Blood and Bone with Emma Watts and Fox. With the close of the Skywalker saga, Kathy is pursuing a new era in Star Wars storytelling, and knowing what a diehard fan Kevin is, it made sense for these two extraordinary producers to work on a film together. Go ahead, Rob, while I see if there's anything else worth reading here.
Finally, someone who has had more. I think, would it be fair to say that Kevin Feige has had more success than Kathleen Kennedy in a shorter period of time, or as much?
I'd say it's safe to say that Kevin Feige's had more success in a shorter period of time than anybody else in human history.
Yeah. So this is someone who can tell Kathleen Kennedy, "Go fuck yourself."
Oh, and here seems to be a little crack at us, of course, and you might like this one, Matt. Top Disney source says Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy remains in charge with no plans for any changes. One knowledgeable source says Feige has told a major actor that there's a specific role he would like that person to play when and if he makes the movie. So there you go on that.
In other words, Kevin, please fix this for me.
Yeah, I heard something like this. Anyway, not to get into rumor territory again. One potential trouble sign for Lucasfilm and Disney is the alleged disappointing attendance at new Star Wars attractions. We already talked about all that. All right. Interesting. Dive into this a little more if you want to know more about it, but it's just a bunch of more, mostly like just hullabaloo. Wow. Strange turn of events here. All of a sudden, this just dropped a little bit ago. What do you guys make of this?
This is actually very interesting. This could be the first sign that Kennedy's on her way out, actually.
Good.
So, like, typically what happens in Hollywood is that when a studio wants to fire someone but can't really fire them, they do this lateral move where they bring in someone new to work with them. And eventually, once that person gets entrenched, the other person's pushed out or, promoted to a different place or retires or whatever. And I think that Disney is well aware that the Star Wars brand has been tarnished and Kathleen Kennedy has been in over her head. And it could be that they're going to have her focus more on the Disney Plus side of things while they bring in Feige to focus on the movie side of things. Another interesting thing in this article was that there's been this rumor about Brie Larson being involved in a Star Wars movie. And there's a specific sentence in here that talks about how Kevin Feige wants a specific actor for this movie he's working on. And who is Marvel huge on right now? Brie Larson. So there could be some truth to that rumor, actually, because of this development. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here.
I dare them to put Brie Larson to a Star Wars movie. I fucking dare them.
Now I don't feel bad about
I dare them to put Brie Larson in a Star Wars movie. I'll say it again. I fucking dare you to put her in a Star Wars movie.
$10 from Loquacious Primate. I love saying that, so I got to say it anyway. Rob, you want to read it quick?
I think Andy Trucker's point was well stated. When we engage with others, it's crucially important to actually listen to why they believe and what they and not find community level reject at all. Okay, yeah. It's like that Jonathan Pye video. He said, well, why do you feel that way? That's always a good place to start. Someone says something to you, why do you feel that way? I fucking dare you to put her in a Star Wars movie. I can't say it enough. A-Force, I dare you. Put her in Star Wars. I triple dog dare you. I went right to the triple dog dare.
Maybe it's because they don't want her over at Marvel fucking around them. I don't know. I hope Matt's wrong. I really do, but he's probably right. Unless, let's fingers crossed that it's fucking RDJ.
That would be great. That'd be fantastic.
It could be anyone. Honestly, it could be anyone. It could be Chris Pratt. You never know.
That would be fucking cool. I would do it.
Could be Tom Holland. Could be anybody.
Actually, that would be a kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not apropos, but help me out here, Matt. You're the word guy.
Awesome.
No, not ironic either. Would ironic kind of be the word here?
You take FU to Sony.
That's what I was trying to get to, but saying it not with like that. But thanks for the word help there, bud. No. Eddie Trucker, what's your take on this? You've been kind of quiet on it.
Well, I was just I tried to picture Brie Larson in a Star Wars film, and it breaks my brain to think about. I honestly, looking at the article, the only thing that could pop into my mind was my good friend Lur from Omicron Persei 8 going, this article sounds really good. There's Human Hornet. Oh, it's Aaron Horn. Yeah, it's Human Horn to me. Give me some of that. I don't know. I think that could Kevin Feige make a good Star Wars film? Sure. But then what the hell's going to happen to Marvel if Kevin Feige is busy making Star Wars? Well, then are we going to have Rian Johnson go over and start making Avengers movies? Is that where we're at now? Or is Kathleen Kennedy going to come over and make sure that the cringeworthy feminista scene from Infinity War is going to be everything Marvel now?
There's some people speculating that Victoria Alonso might be moving into the chair slot, and then at Marvel Studios because she's been
about James Gunn.
Well, but I'm gonna say that if that's true, if Victoria Alonso becomes head of Marvel Studios, game over, man, game over,
man. Yeah, I don't know. The thing that gets me about all this is that Marvel is the one major franchise that I still have hope for. Because despite the fact that Phase 4 does not look impressive in any way, shape, or form, so far, while yes, they've had some cringy moments and they've had some movies that weren't nearly as good as some of the others, Captain Marvel, but they have not made a bad movie, and they have made mostly really good movies. And so I would really hate to see that come to a sudden end. Star Wars is already on its deathbed right now. And is it possible that Kevin Feige can get a little more life into it? Maybe. But quite frankly, I think that the damage is done. That Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson have just killed the Star Wars franchise with The Last Jedi. And so I don't know that even if if Episode 9 in a couple of months is the greatest Star Wars movie ever made, I don't know that that's enough to revitalize the series at this point.
We were all told that The Last Jedi was supposed to be the greatest Star Wars film ever made. Look how that turned out.
Well, yeah, and the sad thing is Kathleen Kennedy was out there talking about how awesome it was before it came out, hyping everybody up, and then we saw it, and it's like, this is what you think is the best Star Wars movie ever? So
don't you understand, anti-Chucker? It's subverted expectations.
Yeah, so did Empire Strikes Back, but it was good. You know, that's the difference. And I know I've said it before, but I have to say it again for anybody that's starting to think, oh, but wait a minute, you know, back in the early 80s, all those people were angry about Empire Strikes Back. Wrong answer. We were not angry about the movie. We were angry that we had to wait 3 years to find out how it ended.
Right.
You know, so there's a difference.
From James, just James.
James.
The James. Like Madonna. If it's not Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, I don't care. All right. So we know what James is looking forward to. Thank you, James, and for everybody else who's given us super chat. Bringing up super chats again. We will be giving away Tom's stuff, I think, on Friday because Rob's away and I don't have the thing here to do it and all that stuff. So anyway, back to this though. This is some interesting news. And to go back, and I know how much Matt loves the anonymous sources, but I was kind of on the same page as Matt of Kathleen Kennedy not getting fired, because I heard a version of the story from my, at the time, source close to the situation that yes, this big meeting did happen, but they were normal. And yes, Kathleen Kennedy did get a dressing down, but they couldn't just get rid of her. There's contracts and shit involved. And they wanted Kevin Feige to get closer to Kathy to help her out. Then James Gunn was supposed to move into Kevin's spot and take over for Marvel. And that was already reported back.
That could have been awesome.
And he was supposed to take over the Marvel cosmic phase and then move into the whole, because the whole thing was supposed to kind of move into a cosmic direction anyway. While
Kevin Feige's a white male.
While he was helping Kathy fix Star Wars. But then the whole thing blew up with James Gunn. That put a major monkey wrench in fucking everything. So now we're kind of getting back to where we probably would have been about a year ago. And I think this has always been on the table. This has kind of been the plan. Bob Iger's on his way out. He's going to go run for president. Kathy's not going to stick around forever. She's not that young. I see this as kind of like Kevin will probably move into the major position eventually. I think Matt was kind of onto something too with this is more of a death nail for Kathy than it is good news. Does anybody else have anything to add to that?
No.
I'm not saying they're going to fire her. So just to be clear, I never once said, and I still say, they're not going to fire her flat out. She's just going to retire. Is what it's going to be.
Or they'll announce that she's putting a greater focus on the Disney Plus stuff.
Or yeah, there's that other rumor that she's going to take over the company, but I don't foresee that anymore. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, you know, if they're going to be marginalizing and moving her out, the next announcement would be Kevin Feige is going to focus on the movies, so that frees up Kathleen to focus on the TV shows and stuff like that. So it's going to move in that direction if she is indeed going to be on her way out. She'll like I said, like Tom, like you said, this is her retirement package. Really, this 3-year contract that she got. This is her retirement package, and she'll like step aside quietly, be moved out the door, where she can go somewhere to complain about the white man and the patriarchy full time.
Yeah,
we already had one casualty on the Star Wars front, which was the lady who ran the amusement parks, right?
Good.
Yeah.
It could be an example of starting to clean house now and reorganize and try to reorient things around the franchise to get it back on track.
But what happened to Michelle Redjuan? She was supposed to be the one in charge of all the story development stuff. Kathy's little protege. I mean, is she? Yeah, I mean, is she just gonna get coffee for J.J. Abrams now?
She's the head development girl at Lucasfilm. So
yeah,
and from my understanding, she's the one who kind of they hand over Kevin Feige would go to her and be like, "This is what I'm thinking. Develop it for me." And they would put together the package and the crew and the team and stuff like that. And they present it to Kevin Feige, and he'd be like, "Okay, I like this. I don't like this. Let's go in this direction." And they basically handle the day-to-day is Rejwan's position of trying to get these things together and moving forward. So,
and meanwhile, this story group does nothing. I mean, they've got the best jobs in the world. I mean, they probably get paid a pretty good six-figure salary. They show up, hey, play darts all day in the office.
Yeah, I don't know what the story group's job is exactly. It's kind of weird.
their job is all corporations have all corporations have these cushy no-show jobs. That's all this was. It was for her disciples to come in so she can groom them and send her minions into the world.
I know what they do. Paula Hidalgo sits on Twitter all day calling us like mecha troll face and stuff. That's their job, basically, is to sit on Twitter and bother us and to do nothing and to get on their little fucking high horse and say, hey, you're a mecha troll face, you're a toxic fan. So that's what they do.
See, but now here's the thing, though. If Kevin Feige makes a Star Wars movie, he's going to want results. At least until he okayed Captain Marvel. So everybody, even a genius has an off day, as Wile E. Coyote once put it.
It's interesting because this could be a proof of concept thing where they give Feige a single Star Wars movie, they look and see how it does at the box office. If it's a big hit, then they're like, okay, we have confidence that he can handle this. Let's hand over more responsibility to him. But the bigger question is where does he fit into the Star Wars release schedule? Because they're going to be coming out every 2 years, and the next one on the slate, I think, was the Benioff and Weiss one. Are they going to be pushing that back and letting Feige's standalone movie go first? I mean, this opens up a whole batch of new questions,
right?
that I have.
I was wondering
got scared after Benioff and Weiss, didn't they? Because they hired them on before Game of Thrones, the final season came out, and everybody pretty much was upset about that. So I think they might be kind of, you know what, let's just not call them back and, hey, Kevin, come make a Star Wars movie first.
Pretty much everything is Star Wars that they've touched, Disney's touch has turned to shit.
Well, I'm sure you covered this story too, Matt, because we did too. Is the whole thing like Benioff and Weiss ended up with that deal right in the midst of all this shit too. So it's like, okay, so when are they supposed to be working on Star Wars?
Yeah, my take on that was that they would have to fulfill their commitments to Star Wars before they really kind of dug down into their deal with Netflix. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of these TV shows take a long time to kind of develop and get up and running. So it wouldn't be surprising me if they were doing development on their Netflix TV ideas while they're working on their Star Wars trilogy. So it's a very different animal where you're simply a producer, because you can be developing multiple projects at once, no problem. But if they were also going to be directing or personally writing it, it would require a little bit more of their attention.
All right, we got a super chat here, Rob. Let me get my whipping. And we lost Rob. Rowan Mangich, a $2.99 Australian super chat from Rowan Mangian. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. KK will be Bob's BP. Don't say such things. Don't say such things. That's insane.
Sorry, guys. We had to reconnect. And there's my big bald head.
His big bald head.
What was the super chat?
That's a good question. Who's running Fox right now? Well, Fox is basically being run by Disney.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what they do. This is the same
thing as Fox.
Yeah. It's the same thing. It's all the same thing. Events, and we've been here for over 2 hours. I'm sure everybody's really got to pee bad. Anything else anybody wants to add to this conversation at this moment in time, or say anything?
This is the first time I felt hopeful for Star Wars in a long time.
A little bit. I mean, yeah, granted, I'm kind of scared because of this whole obsession that Feige has with Brie Larson that you brought up, and that's true. I didn't want to go to that depth, but that is one plausibility because he does seem to have this, I don't know what, unhealthy obsession with her. If it's true, I
I
wanted
like
to
your idea about Robert Downey Jr. though. That could very well be
somebody else. Yeah, anybody. But yeah, for some reason,
like if Robert Downey Jr. was starring in a Star Wars movie, I would be there day one.
who wouldn't?
To line up to see that.
What about Chris Evans?
That's Chris Evans. Any of those guys, or girls even. How about any of them other than fucking Brie Larson?
Put in some makeup or something, you know?
Digital Carrie Fisher.
Well, no, even like what's her face who plays Black Widow? God dang it, Scarlett Johansson. This is Zoe or any of them. What the fuck? Or what's her face who plays? I always forget her name, but she's a great actress.
I want everyone listening right now to look up Bruce Lee lightsaber nunchucks. Okay, tell me that wouldn't look badass in a Star Wars movie. You want to Ryan Johnson say, I can show you something I've never seen in a Star Wars movie. I'm like, what about that? Okay, the Last Jedi? No, the First Jedi. Okay, go watch that. And a guy did that on Adobe After Effects.
If that blind guy from the Rogue One, if he would have pulled them out, that'd have been fucking killer.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that would have been awesome. Give us something.
A wasted opportunity.
That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem in Star Wars now. We haven't had this moment where you say, that was badass. Remember,
we don't have the Darth Maul moments. Yes, and they've been trying to recapture that ever since. And that's something I will give the prequels. Fucking Darth Maul is one of the most badass bad guys on screen for 10, 15 minutes ever in history.
Another interesting thing from Bob Iger's book was when Lucas said that they weren't doing anything new, and he didn't just mean that in terms of story. To Lucas, Star Wars was always a vehicle to develop new technology and push the medium of film forward. The special effects and the digital characters and shooting on digital as opposed to film and stuff like that. So I think he looked at The Force Awakens and he was like, you guys, just do what every other movie does anymore. There's nothing special about these movies.
He called it a retro movie.
Yeah.
I know.
And so because of Lucas's involvement in Star Wars, he was always trying to push the envelope of what was possible. And I think with Disney Star Wars things, it's not about what's possible. It's about what can we do quick to make some money. So I believe part of his disappointment was with that, where there was nothing new or special about these Star Wars movies that Disney was producing.
Well, right. It goes back to. I'm sorry, Tom.
No, go ahead.
It goes down. It comes down to the whole film as product model that they have. Disney wants to just crank it out like an assembly line, and you can't do that. You can't force creative people to be factory workers, essentially.
That's part of it, is the McDonaldization. The other side of it is the misinterpretation. And that's the thing with JJ, is he's a misinterpreter. As he misinterpreted what made Star Trek, he misinterpreted once again what people loved about Star Wars and griped about the prequels. See, this is the thing we have to remember, and I brought this up early on in the conversation. You got to remember Disney's mindset here. At the time they did this, all they remembered was people disliked the prequels, so they want stuff more like the original. No, the part we didn't like about the prequels was how they were put together, because George Lucas is a shitty editor and a shitty director. He's a great idea man. He's a great world builder. He's a great, character creator, but he's not a great director or storyteller. He's a great broad storyteller, like coming up with a broad idea, but he's not the guy to sit down there and type it out. So they seen this as, okay, we need to get this back. No, what we griped about as far as like things, the way they looked logistically in the prequels, was everything looked too clean. It wasn't that we didn't like the new worlds. It wasn't that we didn't like most of the new characters. It was like, I think George forgot about the fact that what made Star Wars so believable is that the world looked lived in.
Which was something unique at that time.
Yes, very unique at that time for Star Wars, for sci-fi, because everything was always so clean. And he even got that. He knew that. but he had
But
forgotten that somewhere in the
I
process.
think that was an intentional decision because the Old Republic was, the good times. It was supposed to be clean and
I think he
nice.
misinterpreted it a little, or he kind of just a little too much though. Everything's a little too shiny, and it didn't have that lived-in feeling like Star Wars did, and that's what we missed about the other movies. You didn't have to set, the movie to the same fucking tune as A New Hope. Give us something different, but just make it feel like we're still in the Star Wars world. And to a point, JJ got that because Force Awakens looks fucking great. The Last Jedi looks fucking great. Rogue One looks amazing. All these movies look awesome.
What we forget about with the prequels is that they were breaking new ground in terms of digital sets, digital characters, like computer generated special effects. These were all things that weren't common at the time that they were made, and they were pushing the boundary. You look at them now, and they don't look all that great, but at the time they were revolutionary. And so, I think it's easy to kind of dismiss some of the achievements of the prequels, but Tom, you're spot on. They're not well written. They're not well directed. They're hard to watch, to tell you the truth. I've gone back and rewatched them a couple times, and it's just like, oof.
And I know a lot of people have refound love with them, and there's a lot of people who grew up with them, and I don't take that away from anybody. It's okay to like them. I don't even care if people like some of the new movies. That's the other misconception, to go back to the Doomcock article, is that, we have this big, thing against people who actually like. No, we don't care if you like the movies. We just don't like that you come, buzzing around our, Twitters or YouTube channels, attacking our listeners and ourselves over our opinions. You're more than welcome to your opinion, just as I am. I wouldn't want it any goddamn other way. And that's the thing though. But yes, to get more back to what we're saying here is I swear there was a time though that I thought this was a good idea. I don't know why now Star Wars has become such a thing in my life that I dread and I hate. And I feel like whether the prequels were that great or not, whether the newer films are that great or not, I don't think Disney understands the impact that this has had on a lot of people, in effect. That
I do think they're showing signs that they know they messed up.
Oh yeah, that's what this whole thing is. This whole fucking week has been,
and I think that's good. I think that's a hopeful sign that they're actually adjusting course here. And so, I'm kind of bullish on this stuff now. I think Star Wars might be on the upswing. And to tell you the truth, the real bellwether for this is going to be The Mandalorian when that comes out in about a month. If that show's good, then I think we can be pretty confident that Disney learned its lesson and that it's adjusted course.
I hope so. I really do. Because these last few days with these articles dropping, with everything happening, obviously this is as Rob and I like to call the apology tour. It's happening. It's begun. It's been happening, and this is a big drop on.
And you know what? This could answer the question as to why Iger put this stuff about George Lucas in his book. It could be that they're doing a mea culpa. They're being like, look, we messed up. We're admitting we messed up, and we're changing things. And we're going to try and make it better. I think that could be one of the reasons why this information's coming out now, is they're setting the stage for Disney Plus and for the new movies, and they're trying to basically absolve themselves of all the ire that they generated with their slapdash handling of this franchise.
Yeah, and I don't think there's really much more we can say for now until I listen to Bob's book. I got the Audible version, so I'm gonna have to listen to it. I ain't got time to read it. I'm gonna have to listen to it while I'm working.
I ain't got time to read.
I ain't got no time to read. So let's duck out of here. Mecca, Rob, since you got to get going here, why don't you help us plug yourselves, or at least Mecca, because we know where we can find you.
That sounded really wrong.
Hey, everybody! Turn off the air conditioner. Hey, everybody! Rob here, Midnight's Edge After Dark. Robot Shlomo.
I'm Mecca. I'm Mecca Random 42. Subscribe to me or else.
Yes, and I will be back on Friday, and we will play Win Tom Stuff. Isn't that?
Yay! And they ducked out again. Okay, check out Mecca on Mecca's channel, Mecca Random 42. Are you guys back?
We dropped out. Yeah, we dropped out.
Yes, subscribe to me or else.
Yeah, subscribe to that. Subscribe here. Click the like button. Click the thumbs up button. I'll be back on Friday. We're gonna play. We're gonna play Win Tom stuff on Friday.
I hope so. That's the plan. So if you're back on Friday, we will play Win Tom stuff. Until then, thanks for hopping in here, guys. It's been a long week without you. It's nice to have you in here, and you picked a good night to do it with all this news. So take care, guys, and we'll let everybody else here kind of leisurely take our way out. So
see you guys.
Yeah.
Take care, Rob and Mecca. All right. Annie Trekker, tell the folks out there where they can find you.
You can find me on my YouTube channel called Anti-Trekker, because that's my name. And we hang out. We have a good time. You are not required to agree with me on everything. You're only required to be willing to have a conversation. And we have a great time. In fact, one thing I was thinking about while we were having our conversations today is I got a guy who's been a subscriber to my channel for a long time. He is a rabid Star Trek Discovery fan, and he's constantly sending me articles and stuff about how awesome Discovery is. Now, do I agree with him? No. But I love having him around, because if we don't have people around us that disagree with us, we are not necessary. That's my belief anyway. But yeah, come over, have a good time. And yes, I'm a piece of crap.
Mr. Matthew Kadish, I know you're not the most popular man in the chat all the time with your views and opinions, but you know, we as Annie Trekker's saying, we're not an echo chamber here. We try to have as many different views, but most people just won't come near us with a 10-foot pole. But you seem to want to get in the mucky muck like Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett and throw down with those who will throw down when they don't agree with you. So Mr. Matthew Kadish, besides the @ on your screen right there, which is your Twitter handle, where else can people find you?
Well, before I shamelessly plug myself, I don't know if he's still in the chat. I noticed Gary from Nerdrotics did a super chat a little while earlier. I just want to say that I love Nerdrotics channel. I love Gary. He is a stand-up guy. He's fantastic. And my criticism about his source, yes, he's right. I don't know who his sources are, mostly because he refuses to tell me. But that was not a dig at him. I just wanted to make that clear. I get tired of these unnamed sources being passed off as legit, even, and that's mostly just because I'm skeptical by nature. But like I said, Gary does a great job on his channel. I love his takes. I love his commentary, and there was no disrespect meant earlier on that. So I just want to make that clear. If I haven't annoyed you enough and you want to find out more about me, you can go to kadishbooks.com. That's KADISH books.com. That'll take you to my Amazon page. You can check out my books there. I am a novelist. I also have a YouTube channel where I talk about movie news and entertainment news and kind of the stuff that we talk about on the show. You can go there by typing in kadishvideo.com, KADISH video.com. That'll redirect you right to my channel. And also follow me on Twitter if you like to have discussions about movies and TV shows and stuff like that, at Matthew Kadish.
Excellent. And skeptical by nature, dibs on band name. All right. Oh, thanks so much, everybody, for hanging in there. This was a long chat, almost 3 hours, and we had quite a few of you listening. That was awesome. Thank you so much to all those who extended super chats as well. We do appreciate that. Sorry, Anna Trekker, you're not getting yours back. Oh, maybe someday. I'll give you some. I always go over there and pop you a few super chats when you're on when I can. So anyway, thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Do hit that like, subscribe button. Make sure it's checked. The bell, of course, is the important part, to make sure that's checked. Otherwise, you won't get notified. And to make sure that you do know what's going on, feel free to check me out on Twitter. I'll throw that in the chat as we go here. And thanks again to Matt and Annie Trekker for joining us. And it was awesome to get to have Rob and Mecca back on the show again. Fatal J, we'll have him on Friday, I think. I'm not sure who else is going to join us, but until then, I want to bid everybody adieu, and I need to keep talking until I get the theme up here because I didn't have it ready because I suck as a host. Yes. This is when Rob does this shit. Anyway, folks, thanks for joining us here once again on Midnight's Edge After Dark.
That's nasty.
You're fired.